Hey guys, tonight we slip through the damp, pre-dawn mist of 6th century Europe. You're not scrolling anymore. You're standing shivering on a patch of cold, wet grass outside a stone-built monastery in Italy. The air smells of dew, wood smoke from a banked kitchen fire, any sheep. Lots of sheep. A bell tolls somewhere deep within the cloister, sharp and insistent in the absolute darkness that comes long before any hint of sunrise. It's matins the first of the 8 daily prayer services dictated by the rule of Saint Benedict. And guess what? Your survival here hinges entirely on understanding the sheep. Seriously, swap your phone for a shepherd's crook right now, and you wouldn't last 3 hours before succumbing to sheer exhaustion, medieval microbes, or possibly a disgruntled ram. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment too. Where are you tuning in from tonight? And what's your local time? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. That bell wasn't just calling monks to prayer. It was also the starting gun for the Ovini orchestra tuning up in the nearby paddocks. You shuffle towards the cloister church, with the other sleepy figures, their coarse woolen habits scratchy against bare skin, breath fogging in the chill. Your eyes sting, craving sleep. But Benedict's rule, that meticulously detailed 6th century playbook for monastic life, leaves no room for snooze buttons. *** mainstream historical fact. *** the Benedictine motto. **Ora et labora *** pray and work. Wasn't just a nice slogan, it was a rigid, divinely mandated schedule fracturing the day and night into specific chunks for liturgical prayer, sacred reading, and manual labor. Forget productivity apps. Benedict micromanaged everything down to how many psalms to sing at each service, and when the single daily meal should be eaten summer, mid-afternoon, winter, mid-morning, dependent entirely on sunlight. Because artificial light was expensive and dim, survival here meant aligning your entire biological rhythm with bells, sheep, and the sun. You emerge from the long matins and lauds services as the first gray light bleeds into the eastern sky. The air is still biting. Instead of heading for a warm hearth, you're handed a simple wooden crook and directed towards the lowing, bleeding mass near the outer walls. Your job? The *** sheep gatekeeper needs help moving the main flock out to the day pastures before the next prayer service kicks off. You trudge through mud churned by hundreds of cloven hooves. The smell intensifies. Damp wool, lanolin, manure, and the earthy tang of wet grass. The sheep press around you, warm and surprisingly solid, their fleeces thick with last night's dew. They're not pets. They're noisy, stubborn, surprisingly strong, and utterly essential walking commodities. You nudge stragglers, feeling the strange, springy resistance of compacted wool against your crook. A ram eyes you with what feels like bored contempt. *** quirky tidbit. *** ever tried counting sheep to fall asleep? Monks might have invented the concept, but for entirely different reasons. They literally counted their sheep constantly, not to drift off, but to ensure none were stolen by wolves, opportunistic peasants, or rival monasteries eyeing their valuable flocks. Some chronicles even mention monks using repetitive sheep counting during the monotonous chanting of psalms in church, a practical, if slightly heretical, multitasking technique to keep track of both divine liturgy and livestock assets. Imagine droning * Dominus regit mea * while mentally ticking off Ethelred, Bertram, Cedric, in the pasture. The challenge isn't just moving the sheep, it's navigating the landscape. Monastic communities needed vast acreage, not just for the sheep to graze, but for growing fodder for winter hay, oats, barley, space for rotating pastures to prevent disease, and access to clean water. Securing and defending this land was a constant, often ruthless, struggle. You help guide the flock across a shallow stream, the icy water numbing your feet through worn leather boots. The *** mutters about a boundary dispute with the local lord who claims this stream is his ***. Scholarly debate. *** historians still argue whether monasteries like this pioneered early forms of sustainable land management through planned pasture rotation and soil enrichment sheep manure, or if they were simply the first large-scale, well-documented examples of relentless environmental exploitation driven by economic necessity. Stripping forests for pasture and overgrazing hillsides. Were they medieval eco-warriors or proto-industrial agribusinesses? The evidence is as muddy as the stream bank you're slipping on. Back within the monastery walls after prime asterisk, the smell shifts. Now it's wood smoke, baking bread of course, dark rye, and the ammonia. Your next glorious task, mucking out the overnight sheep pens. Forget romantic notions of quiet contemplation. This is backbreaking, smelly labor. You shovel damp, pungent straw and manure onto a growing cart. Your arms ache. Sweat stings your eyes despite the cold. And the sheer volume of waste produced by hundreds of sheep is overwhelming. Yet, even here, Benedict's rule applies. Manual labor wasn't just economic necessity. It was spiritual discipline, a way to combat idleness, the enemy of the soul, and cultivate humility. Hauling down was literally holy work. A brother nearby jokes darkly, comparing the stubborn clumps to unconfessed sins, hard to shift and unpleasant to handle. As the sun finally climbs high enough to warm your back slightly, you glance towards the cloister. The scriptorium windows glow faintly, lambskin parchment being prepared, ink being mixed, that precious work, preserving knowledge, illuminating sacred texts. It was funded entirely by the wool on the backs of the animals whose mess you're shoveling. The connection is visceral, crude, and undeniable. The bell tolls again for the next office. Terse asterisk. You lean on your shovel for a second, breathing in the complex perfume of sanctity, sweat, and sheep. Your medieval day, governed by bells and bleats, has barely begun. The sheep aren't just livestock. They're the noisy, woolly, manure-producing engines driving this entire fragile enterprise of prayer, learning, and survival in a very hard world, and you're neck-deep in their world now. The ammonia sting still burns your nostrils as the terse bell pulls you away from the muck cart. You rinse your hands in a rainwater barrel, the icy shock a brutal blessing, and hurry toward the chapter house. But your relief is short-lived. Instead of quiet contemplation, you walk into an economic war council. The abbot, his face stern under a fringe of gray hair, holds up a skein of undyed wool. It glows like pale gold in the morning light filtering through the high windows. This, his voice echoes off the stone, buys our ink, our parchment, our stones, and God's grace in this wilderness. You're about to learn why monks would wage legal battles, drain marshes, and defy kings over something as seemingly humble as sheep's clothing. Forget crypto. This is the original medieval get-rich scheme, sanctified by prayer and powered by pasture. Your next assignment isn't prayer or penance, it's the shearing shed. Spring shearing season is chaos incarnate. Imagine a barn echoing with frantic bleats, the sharp snick of iron shears, and burly conversi lay brothers wrestling panicked ewes onto their rumps. Dust motes dance in shafts of sunlight, thick with the scent of lanolin, that greasy, slightly sweet smell of raw wool oil, mingled with animal sweat and trampled hay. Your handed shears. They're heavier than expected, blunt-nosed but wickedly sharp, designed to slide close to the skin without nicking. A brother demonstrates, one knee pinning the sheep's shoulder, a firm grip behind its jaw, the shears moving in smooth, rhythmic strokes from belly to flank. Mainstream historical fact. The Cistercian order, founded in 1098 as a strict reform movement seeking a return to Benedictine simplicity and manual labor, ironically became Europe's largest and most sophisticated wool producers by the 13th century. Their white monks, named for their undyed habits, pioneered systematic breeding, vast enclosed granges, monastic farms, and complex international trade networks. Monasteries like Relaxation in England or Clairvaux in France weren't just spiritual centers. They were vertically integrated wool corporations, controlling everything from pasture to port. You attempt your first sheep. It's like wrestling a sack of furious, wool-covered springs. The ewe kicks, twists, and defecates in panic. Lanolin coats your hands, making them slippery. Your shears snag, leaving an uneven, ragged patch. An experienced converses chuckles, taking over with effortless efficiency. Like shearing clouds, brother, he grunts, the fleece peeling off in one thick, creamy sheet. Patience and pressure. Too timid, you leave wool. Too eager, he points to a faint scar on the ewe's hind quarter. You leave a reminder. The fleece, once removed, is tossed onto a growing pile, a mountain of potential wealth. Quirky tidbit. Monks didn't just sell wool. They experimented with it. Some enterprising brothers discovered lanolin's water-resistant properties. Chronicles mention monks rubbing raw lanolin into their cloaks before long journeys in the rain, essentially creating the first waterproof, monastic outerwear. Others tried using compressed, greasy wool as primitive insulation in damp dormitory walls, or even as a rudimentary wound dressing with dubious sanitary results. Imagine the abbey's infirmary smelling perpetually like a wet sheepfold. Sorting the fleeces is your next lesson in medieval economics. Not all wool is equal. The finest, softest, whitest fleeces come from the sheep's shoulders and sides, prime export quality, destined for the luxury weavers of Flanders and Florence, where it would be transformed into cloth fit for kings and popes. Gritty, matted belly wool or shorter, coarser leg wool is separated for local use. Stuffing mattresses lumpy but warmer than straw, felting for hats, or weaving into the scratchy your current habit. A grizzled brother, fingers stained dark from handling fleeces, acts as the quality controller. He expertly flips, snaps, and feels each fleece, muttering grades, prime luster, seconds, rooms tag, sack filler. He tosses a particularly matted, burr-infested fleece aside with a snort. Brother Dunstan's flock again. Spends more time composing hymns to his ewes than brushing the thistles out. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the Cistercians' massive success stemmed from genuine agricultural innovation and superior organization, or simply from ruthless exploitation of their special privileges. They were exempt from many taxes and tolls, could use unpaid lay-brother labor on a vast scale, and weren't shy about enclosing common lands previously used by peasant communities for grazing. Were they pious pioneers of efficient farming, or the medieval equivalent of a subsidized agro-monopoly squeezing out the little guy? The records show soaring profits and frequent, bitter lawsuits from displaced neighbors. The sorted fleeces are beaten with long sticks to loosen dirt and vegetation, a process called willowing, then washed not once, but multiple times in running water, often diverted streams built by the monks specifically for this purpose. You stand knee-deep in icy, rushing water, dunking and agitating heavy, sodden fleeces. The grease lifts away, clouding the water downstream. Clean wool is lighter, fluffier, but the work is brutal on the hands and back. The clean fleeces are then dried on hurdles in the sun, turning the abbey precincts into a bizarre, woolly landscape. Finally, they're painstakingly folded fleece-sided, rolled tight, and packed into enormous sacks made of coarse cloth, the famous sarplers or pokes. Each compact bale is a dense brick of potential wealth, stamped with the monastery's unique seal, a medieval brand guaranteeing quality. Standing beside a towering stack of sarplers ready for the autumn wool fair, you grasp the sheer scale. This barn holds more value than the abbey's silver processional cross. The abbot walks past, running a reverent hand over the rough sacking. See this, he murmurs. This fleece built our cloister. This fleece feeds our poor. This fleece buys the vellum for our psalters. The sheep are God's. Bankers, brother. Their wool is our tithe, our alms, and our salvation, bundled in sackcloth. It's a humbling, slightly jarring thought. The sacred chant echoing from the church, the painstaking illumination happening in the scriptorium, the very stones around you. All paid for by the stubborn bleeding creatures, whose manure you shoveled at dawn, and whose coats you've just stripped. The line between the spiritual and the mercantile is as blurred as the horizon in the shearing shed dust. You're not just in a monastery. You're on the bustling floor of the original holy commodity exchange. The scent of lanolin and sun-warmed wool fades as you leave the shearing shed, replaced by an olfactory assault that hits like a physical blow. The thick, sweet-trodden, eye-watering tang of the midden heap. Forget the golden fleece. Welcome to the foundation of monastic prosperity, quite literally underfoot. Your sandals squelch on ground permanently softened by generations of ovini output. The grand stack of sarplers destined for Flanders feels a world away. Azure handed a broad wooden shovel and directed towards the steaming, buzzing mountain of dung and soiled straw script from pens shearing floors and stables. Brother, a weathered converses grins, teeth startlingly white against his grimy face. Meet our true treasure. Gold buys stone, but this buys bread. You brace yourself. This isn't just mucking out. It's an immersion in the pungent sacrament of survival. Mainstream historical fact. Medieval agriculture lived and died by manure. Without synthetic fertilizers, animal dung, particularly nutrient-rich sheep manure, was the essential lifeblood for fields growing the oats, barley, beans, and hay that fed both monks and their flocks, especially through brutal winters. Monasteries became masters of the nutrient cycle. Every scrap of straw used for bedding was meticulously collected after use, mixed with dung, composted in vast middens often for months, even years, and then spread on fields in a carefully timed rotation. The Cistercians, with their massive flocks, often produced surpluses, selling muck to neighboring peasant farmers or using it as a bargaining chip in land disputes. Their fields visibly greener were a testament to their Ovini gold mine. You plunge your shovel in. The texture is revolting, slimy, fibrous, warm. Flies swarm in dense clouds. The weight is surprising, each shovelful dense and clinging. You load a crude cart, muscles burning, sweat stinging your eyes and mingling with the pervasive stench clinging to your skin and habit. It's hot, filthy, seemingly endless work. Yet, round you, brothers work with a quiet, almost rhythmic focus. There's no gagging, no loud complaints. An older monk pauses, leaning on his shovel, watching you struggle. See the steam rising. Brother, he asks calmly, pointing to wisps curling off the heap. Life decays, feeds the earth, and new life springs forth. The sheep eats God's grass, its waste feeds God's grain. The grain feeds us, and we praise God. The circle is pungent, but holy. He delivers this with utter sincerity. *** quirky tidbit. *** monks didn't just spread manure. They studied it. Some illuminated manuscripts, tucked amongst psalms and theological treatises, contain surprisingly detailed notes comparing the composting rates and nutrient values of manure from different animals. Sheep dung was consistently prized for its balance. Even stranger, certain monastic infirmaries experimented with using aged, finely sifted sheep manure mixed with herbs as a poultice for skin ailments or burns. The logic, its warm, drawing nature, results, unsurprisingly, were mixed and likely contributed more to infection than cure. Imagine the Abbey infirmary reeking like a compost heap on wash day. The spiritualization of this most base labor is relentless. During the brief *sext prayer service held near the fields, no time to trek back to church during high summer. The readings take on a new dimension. Passages about humility, service, and the inherent dignity of all God's creation. Even the lowly worm turning the muck land differently when your hands are crusted, and the air hums with flies. The prior might quote Saint Benedict, they are truly monks, if they live by the work of their hands. Calling dung wasn't a distraction from holiness. It was the path, a daily mortification of the flesh and ego. Pride melts faster than snow in a midden heap, brother, quips a weary monk hefting a dripping load onto the cart. No room for airs when you're up to your knees in OD sheep. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether this profound spiritualization of manual labor, seeing shoveling manure as akin to prayer, was a genuine, widely held belief that provided deep meaning and resilience, or primarily a top-down rhetorical tool used by abbots to motivate monks, and particularly the conversi to perform backbreaking, undesirable tasks essential for the monastery's economic survival. Was it enlightened theology applied to necessity, or spiritual coercion dressed in holy garb? The sheer volume of complaints about stinking labors, recorded in some chapter meeting minutes, suggests the interpretation wasn't always universally embraced with pious joy. Back at the midden, the work shifts. Part of the heap, older and well-rotted, is being carefully sieved through coarse screens. The resulting fine, dark, crumbly compost is loaded into baskets. You follow a line of brothers heading not to the fields, but towards the monastery's herbarium the walled medicinal garden. Here, under the watchful eye of the infirmarian, the precious black gold is gently worked around the roots of valerian, chamomile, sage, and precious saffron crocuses. The finest herbs need the finest nourishment, the infirmarian murmurs, carefully patting compost around a delicate feverfew plant, strength drawn from strength. Even the roses climbing the sun-warmed garden wall, their petals destined for altar decorations or rosewater, owe their vibrant hue to the transformed waste of the flock. The connection is direct, unromantic, yet strangely potent. The sheep's digestive end product nurturing the plants that heal the monks, who tend the sheep. Later, in the dim scriptorium, the link becomes even more jarringly tangible. You watch a scribe painstakingly trace intricate letters on a page of creamy vellum. The ink flows rich and black from his quill. Quirky tidbit connection. That deep black ink, one of the most common and durable recipes used iron salts often from rust mixed with tannins extracted from oak galls. And a binder, sometimes egg white or gum arabic, but frequently, especially for everyday manuscripts, the binder was boiled animal glue often derived from hides and connective tissues, the very same waste products rendered down after sheep were slaughtered for mutton. The circle closes. The sheep that fed the monks, whose wool funded the vellum, also provided the binding agent for the ink that recorded the sacred word on that vellum. Sanctity built on slaughterhouse byproducts. As the **nun* bell rings, marking mid-afternoon, you look out from the cloister walk. You see the clean lines of the church, the serene arcades, the quiet scholars in the scriptorium. Then your gaze drops to the bustling outer courtyard, the loaded muck carts heading to fields, the brothers sieving compost, the sheep themselves dotting the distant hillside. The serene spiritual ideal and the messy, smelly, essential reality aren't separate worlds. They are inextricably woven together, thread by thread, shovel by shovel, by the humble, indispensable sheep. Their gift wasn't just the golden fleece. It was the very fertility that sustained the entire fragile, holy enterprise. Salvation, it seems, smells strongly of lanolin, damp earth, and centuries of accumulated sheep droppings. You take a deep breath. It's the scent of survival, sanctified. The fertile smell of survival clinging to your habit turns acrid as you enter the abbot's austere chamber. Gone is the serene scholar. Before you stands a feudal lord strategizing war. Spread across a sturdy oak table isn't a sacred text, but a crude map drawn on sheepskin parchment. Thick lines demarcate hills, valleys, and meandering streams. Your eyes land on a cluster of tiny, angry-looking inked figures wielding pitchforks near a boundary labeled *fallow field common*. The abbot jabs a calloused finger at it. See this, our prime summer pasture. Our sheep fattened its slopes for 50 years. Now Hubert D. Bray claims it by ancient right, rights he conveniently forgot when it was scrub and marsh we drained. He slams a fist down, making an ink pot rattle. Tonight, you ride with Brother Martin. We reclaim what the sheep require. Forget peaceful prayers. Welcome to medieval pasture politics, where monks wielded charters like swords and hired thugs when piety failed. Survive this? You'd need the hide of an ox, not a novice monk. Mainstream historical fact. Land disputes were the plague of medieval monastic life. Monasteries needed vast, contiguous tracts for efficient sheep farming, summer high pastures, sheltered winter grazing, hay meadows, access to water. Securing these often meant challenging existing peasant common rights, buying out smallholders sometimes under duress, or claiming waste land they then improved through drainage and clearance. The legal battles were legendary. Monasteries maintained meticulous charters sometimes creatively rediscovered or ambiguously worded, and employed skilled canon lawyers. Landmark rulings, like the 1235 Statute of Merton in England, explicitly allowed lords including monastic houses to enclose common land if they left sufficient pasture for their tenants, a term so vague it fueled centuries of conflict. Monks weren't just men of God. They were aggressive, litigious real estate developers cloaked in piety. You mount a sturdy cob beside Brother Martin, converses whose build suggests he spent more time wrestling rams than reciting psalms. Moonlight silvers the landscape as you ride towards fallow field. The rhythmic clop of hooves unnaturally loud. Your mission, re-erect the boundary markers Brother Martin and others hacked down just last week. Stout oak posts carved with the Abbey's cross. D. Bray's men pulled em up, tossed em in the stream. Martin grunts, patting a heavy mallet slung from his saddle. Tonight, we sink em deeper. Let em try pulling stone. The air is cold, smelling of damp earth and distant wood smoke. Tension prickles your skin sharper than the night chill. Quirky tidbit. Monks didn't just rely on muscle or lawyers. They employed spiritual warfare. Chronicles record abbots solemnly excommunicating troublesome hedges or ditches that encroached on monastic land, literally cursing the physical barrier itself. More practically, some monasteries hired local boys as sheep spies, paying them in bread or small coins to count rivals' flocks grazing on disputed land, or report on the movements of hostile bailiffs. Imagine a 10-year-old crouching in a thicket, noting down 20 ewes, 3 lambs, D. Bray's field, St. Cuthbert's feast day, then sprinting back to the abbey for his crust of rye. You reach the disputed stream. Moonlight glints on freshly disturbed earth where the old posts lay. Martin dismounts, hefting a new post. You scramble down, the cold saddle leather replaced by dew-soaked grass. Your job, hold the post steady while Martin drives it deep with rhythmic, earth-shattering blows. *THUD. Each strike feels like a declaration of war echoing across the silent valley. You skin the dark tree line, heart pounding, expecting angry peasants or D. Bray's men to erupt at any moment. Eyes sharp, brother, Martin mutters between swings. Land hunger makes men brave and stupid. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether monastic enclosure and land accumulation represented genuine improvement, turning marginal land productive through organized effort, drainage, and large-scale husbandry, or simply a ruthless power grab that impoverished peasant communities by stripping them of vital common resources essential for their own small livestock and subsistence. Did the monks' efficiency create greater overall wealth, or merely concentrate it within the cloister walls while pushing neighbors towards destitution and resentment? The answer likely depends on whether you were the abbot tallying fleece profits, or the peasant watching your cow starve. You're tamping earth around the third post when a sharp whistle pierces the night. Torches flare in the distance, bobbing like angry fireflies through the trees. Shouts carry on the wind, rough, angry. Debrays louts, Martin spits, swiftly gathering tools. Mount up. We've made our point. You scramble onto your cob, fumbling with the reins as the torchlight draws closer, illuminating figures running, some wielding staves. A stone whizzes past, splashing into the stream behind you. Martin doesn't wait. He spurs his horse into a jolting trot back towards the abbey. You follow, bent low, branches whipping at your habit. The shouts of the pursuing villagers a terrifying counterpoint to the frantic drumming of hooves. Survival isn't about prayer now. It's about speed and not getting brained by a thrown rock. The serene monastic ideal feels continents away, back within the abbey gates, bolted shut against the angry murmurs still audible from the darkness beyond. The atmosphere is grimly triumphant in the torch-lit courtyard. The abbot nods curtly at Martin. The markers stand, Father Abbot, sunk deep. They'll need more than muscle to shift now. But the victory feels hollow, brittle. The cost of those posts isn't just labor. It's the seething resentment now focused on the monastery walls. Tomorrow, the abbot will dispatch a brother with a carefully worded letter to the bishop, invoking canon law and ancient grants. He might also discreetly send silver to the local sheriff, ensuring order is maintained. Quirky tidbit connection. Remember those sheep spies? Their information wasn't just for pasture disputes. Detailed knowledge of local grazing patterns and land quality was crucial intelligence. When negotiating leases, purchasing new parcels, or even planning the strategic placement of new granges, remote monastic farms, a well-informed monk could outmaneuver a secular lord at the bargaining table, simply by knowing exactly how many sheep a particular hill could support in a dry summer. Days later, you witness the fallout. In the bustling outer courtyard, a delegation of sullen peasants from Fallowfield village stands before the cellar. Their spokesman, an old man with hands twisted like roots, pleads in a voice thick with desperation. Please, brother cellarer, the marker cuts off our beasts from the stream. Our cows thirst. Our children. The cellarer, face impassive, consults a ledger. The stream flows through Abbey land. Goodman Wilf, he states coolly. You may purchase water rights, or drive your beasts to the common pond. A league further, I believe. The old man flinches. A league over rough ground for thirsty animals was a death sentence for the weak. The seller offers a pittance for the inconvenience, a fraction of the water rights' true value. It's not violence, it's economic suffocation, cloaked in legal parchment and delivered with monastic calm. You see the despair in the villagers' eyes, the same despair that fueled the torchlight chase. The sheep demand pasture. The pasture demands enclosure, and enclosure demands this cold, calculated hardness. The golden fleece, you realize, is woven with threads of iron and paid for in peasant tears. The line between holy shepherd and ruthless landlord is terrifyingly thin, and tonight, you stand firmly on the monastic side of the fence, smelling not just sheep, but the bitter tang of injustice sanctified by necessity. The bitter taste of the pasture dispute still lingers like grit in your mouth. As you enter the scriptorium, the shift is jarring. Outside, the world is mud, manure, and muted conflict. Here, it's hushed reverence, the soft scratch of quills on treated skin, and shafts of dusty sunlight illuminating floating motes. The air smells of aged parchment, oak gall ink sharp and metallic, and beeswax used to polish writing surfaces. You're assigned to assist Brother Eadmer, the Armarius keeper of the books. His face a landscape of deep wrinkles mapped by decades of squinting at minute script. The Lord's word endures, he whispers, running a trembling, ink-stained finger over a nearly completed page of Psalms, written on the skins of his faithful creatures. He gestures towards a stack of stiff, creamy rectangles. Prepare these. The word hungers for vellum. You touch the top sheet. It's cool, slightly pebbled, unnervingly smooth. It feels like history itself. But beneath the serenity, The connection is inescapable. The sacred silence is paid for by the bleeding chaos beyond these walls. Mainstream historical fact. The production of a single large Bible or liturgical book like a psalter could require the skins of 200 to 300 sheep or calves. Monasteries maintained dedicated herds specifically for parchment production, prioritizing animals with unblemished hides. The scriptorium wasn't just a place of learning. It was the endpoint of a complex agricultural supply chain, where the quality of pasture directly influenced the quality of the sacred text. Brother Eadmer leads you to the Parchmentarium the parchment workshop, mercifully located downwind from the main cloister. The smell hits first, a complex, pungent cocktail of wood ash, quicklime, and the underlying, unsettling scent of raw, decomposing organic matter. Huge wooden vat steam, filled with a milky, caustic solution, floating within our sheepskins, hair side out, looking disturbingly like drowned animals. Your task begins. Using stout wooden tongs, you haul a heavy, dripping skin from the lime bath. The hair slips off in clumps with a nauseating slickness, revealing the gelatinous corium layer beneath. The lime loosens the hair and fat, Eadmer explains, watching you wrestle the slippery mass onto a curved scraping frame, and kills anything undesirable. Quirky tidbit. Preparing vellum was skilled, hazardous work. The lime solution was highly alkaline, causing painful burns and skin ulcers for workers. Chronic exposure led to respiratory problems and rotting teeth, a condition grimly nicknamed parchment maker's lung and scribe's rot. Monks assigned this duty often received extra rations of ale or wine, not just as compensation, but because the alcohol was believed incorrectly to counteract the lime's corrosive effects. Imagine the workshop monks showing up to vespers slightly tipsy, reeking of lime and rawhide. Stretching the skin taut over the frame is backbreaking. You use a heavy, crescent-shaped linellum knife, scraping away every last trace of fat, muscle tissue, and membrane from the flesh side. The motion requires constant, even pressure. Too little leaves impurities that will spoil the writing surface. Too much gouges the skin. Sweat drips from your brow onto the frame. The scraping sound is harsh, rhythmic, grating. It feels less like crafting a sacred surface and more like flaying. Think of it as spiritual scrubbing. Eadmer murmurs, observing your clumsy strokes. The skin must be pure, flawless, to bear the pure word. Every scrape removes the world stain. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the staggering output of some monastic scriptoria, like Canterbury or Winchester producing hundreds of volumes, represents true widespread literacy among the monks or merely the labor of a small highly specialized elite, with the majority of brothers functionally illiterate focused solely on manual labor like your earlier mucking and shearing. Were these libraries truly used by many, or were they symbols of institutional prestige, as much about displaying wealth in sheep and skilled labor as spreading knowledge? The answer likely varied wildly between a humble rural priory and a powerhouse like Cluny. Once scraped clean, the skin is washed repeatedly in running water until the lime smell fades, then stretched even tighter on the frame to dry under tension. Days later, it becomes recognizable as vellum, thin, stiff, translucent at the edges. You help smooth the surface with pumice stone, then polish it with a smooth bone or stone burnisher, working until it feels like cold silk. Only then does it go to the scriptorium. Watching Brother Eadmer at work is mesmerizing. His quill, a carefully trimmed goose feather, moves with tiny, precise flicks. Ink flows dark and even from its split nib. He illuminates an initial D with minute dots of gold leaf. Breathing softly, utterly absorbed, the sheepskin that was wrestled from a vat, scraped raw, and stretched to near breaking point now cradles breathtaking artistry. Quirky tidbit. Monks had opinions about their materials. Marginal notes glosses sometimes complain about poor quality vellum. This skin is lumpy. God help the scribe. Or the ink bleeds like a sinner's conscience on this hide. One famous 12th century doodle in the margins of a manuscript shows a disgruntled-looking sheep, wearing a monk's habit, possibly a wry comment on the source of the scribe's frustration. Even funnier, some monks used flawed patches of vellum thin spots, slight discolorations to sketch irreverent doodles, faces, animals, or even little scenes, hidden within the elaborate foliage of capital letters. A tiny, secret rebellion against perfection. The sheer labor intensity hits you. The skin you prepared might yield for folio leaves. A single gospel book could need hundreds. The connection between the vast flocks dotting the abbey's hills and this hushed room is direct. material, and immense. That ram whose horns threatened Brother Martin last spring, Eadmer says without looking up from his minuscule foliage, he graced our best pasture. His skin will grace the Easter Gospels. A worthy transformation, would you not say? It's a startling perspective. The animal's life, its grazing, its death, its flaying and scraping, all distilled into this pristine surface awaiting sacred text. The violence of its making is invisible beneath the gold leaf and perfect script. Later, in the cloister walk during a rare moment of quiet, you run your fingers over the finished pages of a completed psalter. The vellum is cool, impossibly smooth, the ink slightly raised. The artistry is divine, but in your mind's eye, you see the steaming lime vats, feel the slippery weight of the skin, hear the harsh scrape of the lunellum knife. You smell not beeswax and ink, but the acrid tang of lime, and the raw, wet dog smell of soaked wool and flesh. The sacred and the visceral are two sides of the same incredibly thin skin. The peace of the scriptorium, the profound beauty it produces, is built on a foundation of strenuous, often repulsive, labor performed by monks who might never read the words they help preserve. The sheep, once again, are the silent partners, their ultimate gift not wool or meat or manure, but the very surface upon which faith, knowledge, and the monastery's enduring legacy are painstakingly inscribed. Salvation, it seems, is written on stretched and purified slaughter. The abbot's words from the pasture dispute echo grimly, what the sheep require, they required land, labor, and ultimately, their own skins. The lingering scent of lime and rawhide fades, replaced by the dry, papery smell of dust and old ink. You leave the hushed reverence of the scriptorium for the equally quiet, but distinctly more anxious, atmosphere of the camerarius office, the bursar's counting house. Brother Celler, usually bustling with the logistics of food and fodder, sits hunched beside the camerarius himself. Brother Simeon, their faces are grimly focused, illuminated by a single tallow candle despite the daylight outside. Spread before them are not sacred texts, but thick ledgers bound in plain leather, their pages covered in dense, meticulous columns of numbers and cramped script. Piles of smaller parchments, indentures, tallies, receipts, litter the heavy oak table. Brother Simeon looks up, his eyes weary. Ah, novice, just in time. We reconcile the Michaelmas wool accounts. Prepare to meet the true arithmetic of salvation. He pushes a massive ledger towards you. Read aloud the entries from the Revaux Grange. Every fleece, every sack, every penny. God hates sloppy bookkeeping. Mainstream historical fact. Medieval monasteries were among the most sophisticated economic institutions of their time, employing complex accounting systems like charge and discharge bookkeeping long before they became common in secular trade. The Cistercians, with their vast, decentralized network of granges producing wool, maintained meticulous central records. Every fleece was graded, weighed, recorded at the grange, tracked through washing and packing, and its sale meticulously logged. The proceeds then allocated to specific abbey needs, building projects, alms, purchasing luxury, imports like incense or silk for vestments, or paying papal taxes. Survival depended on knowing exactly where the wool gold went. Your finger traces down the crackling parchment. The entries are a blur of Latin abbreviations and numerals. Granja di Rival, Lana Prima, Sarpler Sheesh, Ponderenter Sarpler each Panny Ectamid, Vendedor Johanni Picard, Mercatori Flandrency, Pretio XL Solidos Sterling Gorum per Sarpler. Brother Simeon cross-references your reading with a separate ledger. The carded debitorum the debt book. Picard paid half on the nail at Boston Fair. He mutters, flipping pages. The balance. Do at candlemas. See here? His mark. He points to a crude, wobbly signature Jehan Picard and a wax seal impression showing a merchant ship. Now, the expense of getting it to him. He pulls another parchment. Costs cascade. Corriagio linea rival ad portum Boston. Cartage of Revaux wool to Boston port, 15 shillings. Pedagium per pontum d Tadcaster. Bridge toll at Tadcaster, 6 pence. Custodia in Gilda Mercatorum Boston. Warehousing fee at Boston Merchant Guild, 2 shillings. Bribes to the King's customs men. This last entry isn't written, but Brother Simeon taps the side of his nose knowingly. Will pays the King's taxes twice. He sighs, once officially, once unofficially. The price of passage. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the sophisticated monastic accounting systems represented a genuine drive for economic efficiency and transparency within a spiritual framework, or were primarily tools for centralized control and exploitation, ensuring the Mother Abbey maximized its cut from distant granges and kept lay brothers and local officials in check. Were these ledgers spiritual stewardship or fiscal surveillance? The sheer volume of audits and the frequency of grange managers being recalled for discussion of discrepancies suggest control was paramount. You move on to the proceeds. The income from Revox's wool doesn't land in a general pot. Brother Simeon meticulously allocates it. Pro emendation ecclesia. For church repairs, £10. Pro potentia fratrum in nativitate domini. For the brothers' special Christmas feast, £2. Pro imptioni librorum. For purchasing books, £5. Pro pauperibus sustentandis. For supporting the poor, £3. Even pro stipendio medici venientis. For the fee of the visiting physician, 15 shillings. Every penny is accounted for, every fleece transformed into stone, food, knowledge, charity, or health care. The sacred mission runs on wool-backed liquidity. See this. Simeon points to a large entry, pro solution decime papalis, for payment of papal tithe, £20. That, he says grimly, is why we count every clove, every nail. Rome's hunger is as deep as our pastures. The sheep pay Peter's pence. Suddenly, Brother Simeon frowns, his finger stabbing at an entry in the Grange ledger. Hold. Grange master reported 312 fleeces graded prime from the midsummer shearing, but the washing house tally, 309 fleeces washed prime. 3 fleeces missing? His voice is dangerously quiet. 3 fleeces, maybe £1 lost. A seemingly trivial discrepancy, but his reaction is volcanic. 3 fleeces stolen, miscounted, eaten by wolves, he barks orders. A lay brother is dispatched immediately to ride to Revalk's Grange. Letters are drafted demanding explanations from the washing house overseer and the head shearer. The serene bursar transforms into a forensic accountant. Quirky tidbit. Monasteries employed complex systems to prevent fraud. Some used split tally sticks, one half kept by the Grange, the other by the Abbey, that had to match perfectly when accounts were settled. Wool sacks were sealed with the Abbey's unique lead seal, often intricately designed and legally protected. Tampering was a serious crime. Some suspicious abbots even required Grange managers to send detailed descriptions of individual sheep. Black ewe, notch left ear, scar on right flank, alongside numerical tallies, creating a medieval Ovini biometric system. Imagine a Grange report. Prime fleeces, 47, including Baldwin, white, large curled horns. Favors left foreleg, Matilda. Gray patch over right eye, thief suspect, brown, skittish. Hours later, the explanation arrives, scribbled on a scrap of parchment by a flustered Grange manager, fratri carissimo, velers deglutivat canis, dearest brother, 3 fleeces swallowed by a dog. A sheepdog, overzealous during herding, had apparently grabbed and ripped 3 fleeces beyond recovery. Brother Simeon snorts, dog, charging 3 fleeces to canine gluttony. He makes a sharp note in the ledger, deductio pro canis veracitate. Velera, deduction for dog's veracity, 3 fleeces. He shakes his head. Add muzzle the hounds to the Grange instructions, brother seller. Every nibble costs. The incident, absurd yet costly, underscores the precariousness. Disease, theft, predators, bad weather, greedy dogs, corrupt officials. 1,000 threats could unravel the delicate financial tapestry, woven from countless fleeces. As the Vespers bell tolls, ending the grueling audit session, Brother Simeon closes the massive ledgers with a thud that echoes in the small room. Dust motes swirl in the candlelight. The numbers, the costs, the allocations, they are the unromantic reality behind the Abbey's soaring arches and illuminated manuscripts. You look at your ink-stained fingers, no longer scraping vellum, but tracing the cold calculus of survival. The sheep, distant dots on the hillside, aren't just providers of wool. They are walking, bleeding units of account, their fleeces meticulously tracked, taxed, and transformed into the very fabric of monastic existence, from the abbot's fine wine to the pauper's bread, from the physician's fee to the lead on the church roof. The sacred balance sheet is written not in Latin prayers, but in pounds, shillings, pence, and the irreplaceable value of a single, perfect fleece. The path to heaven, it seems, runs straight through the bursar's ledger, and the ink is mixed with lanolin and anxiety. The dry rustle of ledger pages gives way to a thick, greasy fog that clings to your throat and coats the back of your tongue. You step into the Candelaria the candle workshop, and the world transforms into a scene from a visceral dream. The air vibrates with low heat, thick with the cloying, burnt sweet smell of rendering fat. Brother Fulk, the chandler, stands silhouetted against the glow of a massive brick furnace, his face slick with sweat and grease, habit sleeves rolled high over muscular forearms. He gestures you towards a bubbling cauldron the size of a small bath. "Welcome to the holy greaseworks, brother," he rasps, his voice rough from the fumes. "Where sheep fat becomes divine light. Grab a paddle. Salvation requires stirring." Mainstream historical fact. Before beeswax became more widely available and affordable for candles, especially in Northern Europe, animal fats, primarily tallow rendered from sheep or cattle, were the primary source of artificial light in monasteries and beyond. Monasteries, with their large flocks, were largely self-sufficient in this vital resource. A single large sheep could yield 2 to 3 pounds of tallow, crucial for illuminating the long hours of winter prayer services in unheated churches and scriptoria. The chandler's workshop was the smelly, essential engine room of nocturnal devotion. The heat hits you like a wall. The cauldron before you roils with a yellowish, frothy liquid. Floating within are chunks of white, waxy fat, soot stripped from the kidneys and loins of slaughtered sheep. Your task is to keep this ungodly stew moving with a long wooden paddle, preventing it from scorching on the furnace bricks. The smell is overpowering, a nauseating blend of frying meat, burnt hair. Some bits inevitably remain, and an underlying rancid sweetness. Sweat pours down your temples, stinging your eyes, mingling with the greasy film settling on your skin. Constant motion. Brother Fulk instructs, his own paddle moving with rhythmic, practiced sweeps. Let it stick, and you'll taste burnt tallow in your porridge for a week. Worse, the abbot gets dim candles for matins. Quirky tidbit. Rendering tallow was notoriously hazardous. Spattering hot fat caused severe burns. The fumes could induce headaches, nausea, and even hallucinations. Some monks jokingly referred to particularly bad batches as demonic vapors that tempted them to skip vespers. Worse, tallow attracted vermin. Workshop cats were essential, but chroniclers also mention inventive traps involving sticky mixtures of tallow and honey placed near precious candle stores. Imagine a novice chasing a greased rat that had plunged headfirst into a vat of cooling tallow. As the fat renders, the impurities rise. Bits of membrane, charred hair, cloudy scum. You skim this off with a perforated ladle, adding it to a growing, reeking bucket. The liquid beneath slowly clarifies into a translucent, golden oil. Good tallow, Fulk declares, peering into the depths. Clear as a saint's conscience. Well, almost. He points to another cauldron nearby, filled with a darker, murkier liquid smelling faintly fishy. Lamp oil, seal blubber. Smells like Satan's armpit, burns brighter. Saved for special feasts, or when the sheep tithe runs low. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the reliance on tallow candles significantly impacted monastic liturgy and architecture. Did the smoky, flickering, foul-smelling light discourage longer nighttime services or influence the design of churches towards larger windows for daylight? Or did the sheer necessity of light for pre-dawn prayers simply mean monks endure the smoke and stench as another form of holy mortification? The evidence is mixed, like poorly rendered tallow. The rendered tallow is carefully ladled into large, shallow stone troughs to cool and solidify. Hours later, it's a creamy, semi-solid mass the color of pale butter. Now comes the candle making itself. Hemp wicks, pre-soaked in brine to make them burn slower and reduce smoking, are suspended from wooden racks. You plunge a wick into a smaller vat of reheated, liquid tallow, pull it out dripping, let it cool slightly, then plunge it again, and again, and again, layer by painstaking layer. The candle grows, a slow accretion of fat around the slender wick. It's monotonous, hot work. Your arms ache from the repetitive dipping. The greasy smell permeates your skin, your hair, your very breath. Think of it as building light. Fulk encourages, demonstrating a smooth, even dip. Each layer is a prayer against the dark, a greasy prayer, but potent. Quirky tidbit. Monks developed strong preferences for certain wick materials and dipping techniques. Some swore by flax wicks for a cleaner burn, others insisted hemp was more durable. Disputes over the perfect brine concentration could become surprisingly heated, documented in workshop manuals with the intensity of theological debates. One 14th century marginal note complains, Brother Oswin's weak brine makes the candles weep fat, like a sinner's eyes. Worse still, occasionally, a poorly processed wick containing residual lanolin would cause a candle to sputter and flare unpredictably during night services, startling the brethren and sometimes being misinterpreted as a divine or demonic sign. The finished candles are far from uniform, slightly lumpy, often tapered, smelling distinctly sheepy even when cold. They're stored in a cool, stone-lined room, stacked like greasy logs. Fulk hands you a smaller, finer candle. Beeswax, he says reverently, for the high altar only. Pure, sweet-smelling, burns bright and clean, like the Virgin's own light. The contrast is stark. The tallow candle in your other hand feels heavier, grazier, smells faintly of the rendering vats. Ours do the real work, Fulk adds pragmatically. They light the long watches. The beeswax, that's for show. God sees by tallow light just fine, I reckon. Later that night, you experience the fruits of your labor. The great church is cavernous, cold, and utterly dark except for the flickering points of light from dozens of tallow candles burning in iron sconces along the nave. You stand for the interminable matins service, your breath fogging in the icy air. The light they cast is weak, yellowish, and constantly dancing. Thick black smoke coils upwards, staining the stone above each sconce. The smell is inescapable, that same greasy, burnt fat odor, now mingled with incense, damp stone, and the collective breath of the chanting monks. It's hardly the pure, ethereal glow of divine presence you might imagine. It's dim, smoky, and smells faintly of the slaughterhouse. Quirky tidbit connection. Remember the lanolin experiments from the shearing shed? Some frugal chandlers tried mixing rendered lanolin with tallow, hoping for a cleaner burn. The results were disastrous. Lanolin smoke candles produced thick, acrid, black plumes that smelled like burning hair and left sticky, greasy soot on everything: walls, vestments, faces. Chroniclers mention irate abbots banning the practice after one particularly smoky vigil of Easter left the brethren looking like miners fresh from hell's own pit. As the plain song rises and falls in the shadowed vault, the tallow candles gutter and sputter. A drop of hot fat hisses onto the stone floor near your foot. The light they provide is meager, struggling against the overwhelming darkness. Yet, it's enough to read the Psalter by, enough to see the faces of your brothers, pale and weary in the gloom, enough to hold back the absolute dark of a winter night in a world without electricity. The sacred words echo, not in pure golden radiance, but in the smoky, greasy, imperfect light, a light wrested from the very bodies of the sheep that sustain the abbey in 100 other ways. The path to God, it seems, isn't just paved with manure and parchment. It's lit by flickering flames fed by rendered sheep fat, a humble, smelly, utterly essential beacon against the long medieval night. The glow of faith, you realize, often comes coated in a thin film of holy grease. You take a breath, tasting tallow and incense, and bow your head. The humble candle's flame reflected in your downcast eyes. The greasy haze of the candle-making workshop clings to your lungs, replaced by a different, yet equally pervasive, olfactory signature as you shuffle towards the *refecto or y* for the single daily meal. It's a smell that defines monastic life as much as incense or manure. The unmistakable, heavy aroma of boiled mutton, not roasted, not spiced, not transformed, just boiled. Day after day, season after season, you take your place on the hard wooden bench, the communal wooden bowl and spoon laid precisely before you. The silence is profound, broken only by the soft scrape of a ladle and the rhythmic drip of condensation from the vaulted ceiling onto the stone flags. Brother Sellers stands at the serving hatch, his expression one of resigned duty. A steaming, grayish lump of meat plops into your bowl, followed by a ladleful of thin, murky broth containing a few lonely barley grains and a wrinkled turnip fragment. This isn't sustenance, it's edible endurance. Mainstream historical fact. The monastic diet, governed by rules like St. Benedict's, was deliberately simple, monotonous, and often frugal. Meat from four-legged animals was generally forbidden within the cloister except for the sick, the elderly, or, in some interpretations, as part of the patantium, a small, extra portion allowed on feast days. The primary protein source for healthy monks. Fish where available, eggs, cheese, pulses, An asterisk mutton asterisk from cult, non-productive sheep old ewes, lame rams. It was cheap, readily available from their own flocks, and technically not classified as meat. In the same way as beef or pork in many monastic dietary codes, survival meant semantic loopholes and endless boiled ewe. You raise a spoonful of broth. It tastes like lukewarm water that once waved at a sheep. The mutton itself is stringy, fibrous, requiring vigorous chewing. Fat globules congeal on the surface of the cooling liquid. Salt is the only seasoning, applied with a grudging hand, a precious commodity, bought with wool profits. You glance around. Brothers eat with downcast eyes, focused solely on the act of consumption. Conversation is forbidden during meals. Instead, a monk reads aloud from a lectern, his voice is sonorous strong, recounting the martyrdom of some early saint. The vivid descriptions of torture bizarrely juxtaposed with the mundane struggle to masticate. Gristle. Quirky tidbit. Monks developed elaborate strategies to cope with the monotony. Some meticulously dissected their single piece of mutton into tiny, almost ritualistic portions, making the meal last longer. Others secretly traded undesirable bits, a particularly fatty chunk, for an extra piece of coarse rye bread. Chronicles even mention brothers saving tiny morsels of cheese or dried fruit, rare treats, acquired through special duties, smuggling them into the refectory to add a fleeting burst of flavor to the eternal mutton. Imagine the illicit thrill of a concealed raisin meeting a chunk of boiled ewe. The sheer lack becomes a presence. No herbs beyond a few wild greens foraged in summer. No pepper, cinnamon, or cloves. Those were luxuries reserved for the abbot's table or medicinal use, bought dearly with fleece money. No onions or garlic, often considered too stimulating for chaste minds. Just salt, water, fire, and old sheep. Mortification of the palate. Brother Seller intones later. Catching your grimace as you scrape your bowl clean. Wasting food is a grave sin. The simpler the sustenance, the clearer the soul's focus on God. Rich foods breed distraction. And wind, he delivers this last part with the weight of personal, gassy experience. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether this extreme dietary austerity, particularly the reliance on tough, nutrient-poor mutton, actually contributed to chronic malnutrition and health problems among monks, anemia, scurvy, dental issues, despite the overall wealth of the institution, or if the sheer quantity of bread, pottage, and ale provided sufficient calories for their demanding, sedentary yet laborious lives. Skeletal remains from monastic graveyards show mixed evidence. Some monks were surprisingly robust. Others showed signs of dietary stress. Was the diet wholly minimalism or institutionalized culinary neglect? Feast days are a seismic shift. Christmas, Easter, the patron saint's day. The transformation is almost shocking. The smell of roasting meat, roasting permeates the cloisters. You glimpse spitted lambs or kid goats turning over fires in the outer kitchens, their skins crisping, fat dripping and sizzling onto the embers. The forbidden scent of herbs like sage and thyme hangs in the air. Inside the refectory, the silence lifts slightly, replaced by a low hum of suppressed anticipation. The wooden bowls hold miracles, tender, young meat falling off the bone, rich, thickened gravies, stews dense with legumes and, unbelievably, shreds of dried fruit or even a whisper of honey. Quirky tidbit. Feast days revealed hidden culinary talents. Monks assigned to kitchen duty for these occasions often became surprisingly inventive. With the limited palette available, chronicles describe subtleties, elaborate edible decorations, sometimes shaped like saints or biblical scenes, made from pressed meats, colored jellies from boiled calves' feet or fish bladders, and even marzipan if almonds could be afforded. One 13th century account describes a Lamb of God centerpiece crafted from minced mutton, colored with saffron and beetroot juice, surrounded by apostles fashioned from hard-boiled eggs. Culinary devotion bordering on the bizarre. You savor a spoonful of the feast day stew. It's rich, complex, warming. The contrast with the daily gruel is jarring, almost painful. It tastes like color, like joy, like a reminder of a world beyond salt and boiled sinew. Brother Seller, for once, allows a faint smile. God delights in our joy, brother, as well as our restraint. Today, the sheep provides not just sustenance, but celebration. The mutton, usually a symbol of penance, briefly becomes a vessel of grace. Quirky tidbit connection. Remember the lard rendered for candles? On rare, special occasions like the visit of a bishop or king, frugal abbots might permit a truly shocking luxury. pastries. Kitchen monks would use finely sifted flour, precious honey or dried fruit, and sheep lard. The resulting pastry was flakier than anything made with butter, though it retained a faint, inescapable whiff of the rendering vat. Imagine biting into a delicate honey tart and getting a subtle aftertaste of tallow workshop. Piety with a greasy finish. The feast ends too soon. The next day, the gray reality returns. The boiled mutton in your bowl tastes even more desolate after the fleeting luxury. You chew mechanically, the gristle resisting. The reading drones on. Now a particularly graphic description of flagellation. The connection feels brutally apt. The daily mutton asterisk is asterisk a form of flagellation for the palate. A constant, low-level mortification woven into the fabric of existence. The sheep that provided the fleece funding the feast also provides the daily penance on your plate. Its final gift isn't gold or light or parchment. It's the tough, unyielding, necessary fuel for continued labor and prayer. The old you whose wool you once sheared, whose manure you shoveled, whose fat lit the midnight office, now sustains your body in its most basic, unadorned form. The circle is closed, unromantic, and tastes faintly of salt and resignation. Survival, sanctity, and supper are one and the same, served lukewarm in a wooden bowl. The path to God, it seems, is paved not just with good intentions, but with millions of chewy, boiled mouthfuls of ovini endurance. You swallow, take a sip of thin, sour ale, and bow your head for the post-meal grace. The taste of mutton lingering like a penance on your tongue. The lingering taste of boiled resignation fades as a frantic bleeding shatters. The cloister's afternoon calm. You follow the sound towards the outer buildings, past the stables, to a low, stone shed reeking of herbs, blood, and animal fear. Inside, chaos reigns. Brother infirmarian, usually tending human ailments, with poultices and prayers, kneels in the straw beside a massive, thrashing you. Her flank is a mess of matted wool, pus, and angry red flesh. A deep gash, probably from a fence stake or wolf bite, now horribly infected. To burly asterisk conversey asterisk struggle to hold her down. Novice, here, the infirmarian barks, not looking up. Hold her head, and pray she doesn't crush your foot. This isn't the scriptorium's serene illumination or the bursar's cold calculus. This is raw, desperate, ovini battlefield medicine. Survive this. You'll need the steady hands of a saint and the stomach of a butcher. Mainstream historical fact. Monasteries were crucial centers of practical veterinary knowledge in the medieval period. While formal veterinary science was centuries away, monks developed extensive empirical expertise through daily hands-on care of their invaluable flocks, drawing heavily on classical texts like those of the Roman writer Vegetius, whose digesta artis malamadicinae covered horse and cattle care. Principles often applied to sheep. An Arab medical knowledge filtering through Spain. Monastic infirmarians compiled practical manuals, treatments blended herbal lore, observation, and often brutal pragmatism. Sheep were simply too valuable to lose without a fight, driving innovation born of necessity. You grab the ewe's head, pressing your weight against her sweat-slicked wool. Her eye rolls white with terror and pain, her breath hot and panicked on your hands. She bucks violently, nearly throwing you off. The stench from the wound is putrid, thick enough to taste. Brother infirmarian, his habit sleeves rolled high, dips a rag into a steaming bucket. The smell of strong vinegar mixes with the rot. Cleansing first, he mutters, dabbing gingerly at the festering edges. The ewe screams, a horrifying, human-like sound of agony. Hold her. Steady, vinegar stings your own eyes. Quirky tidbit. Monastic veterinary manuals prescribed truly bizarre remedies for elf-shot sudden, unexplained animal illness believed caused by invisible arrows. Burying the sheep up to its neck in earth at a crossroads at dawn was recommended. For foot rot, a poultice of warm cow dung mixed with ale and wood ash was common. One 12th century English manuscript advises hanging a jasper stone round a sick ewe's neck to draw out fever, while another suggests feeding ailing lambs bread soaked in the urine of a healthy child. Pragmatism and profound superstition walked hoof and hoof. The cleaning reveals the true horror. Deep, necrotic tissue, pockets of greenish pus. Brother infirmarian sighs bad. The flesh is mortified, needs the iron. He reaches for a long, slender rod resting in the embers of a small brazier. The tip glows a fierce, malevolent orange. Cautery your stomach lurches. The conversey tighten their grip, pinning the ewe flat. She bellows, a sound of pure primal dread. The infirmarian positions the glowing tip over the blackened edges of the wound. God guide my hand, he whispers, then presses the metal firmly onto the rotting flesh. Asterisk 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 hiss. Asterisk 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 the sound is nightmarish. Acrid smoke, smelling of burnt meat and hair, billows up. The ewe convulses with such force you feel bones grind beneath your hands. Her scream chokes off into a guttural, breathless groan. The smell is indescribable. A horrific barbecue of infection and living tissue. You close your eyes, swallowing bile, focusing only on holding her head, feeling the tremors of agony rack her body. Asterisk asterisk scholarly debate. Asterisk asterisk historians still argue whether the often brutal methods of medieval veterinary care, cautery bloodletting harsh purgatives represented genuine, if crude attempts to combat infection and disease based on observable cause and effect, burning out bad flesh, balancing humors, or were primarily ritualistic acts of desperation rooted in superstition and a fundamental misunderstanding of pathology. Did the searing iron actually save more sheep than it killed by sealing wounds and destroying necrotic tissue? Or was it just sanctioned torture that occasionally coincided with natural recovery? The line between empirical treatment and faith-based butchery was perilously thin. The cautery done, the wound is a blackened, smoking crater. The ewe lies panting, trembling, her eyes dull with shock. Now comes the gentler part. Brother Infirmary unpacks the wound with a thick green paste smelling sharply of crushed comfrey and woundwort. He binds it tightly with clean linen strips. Comfrey knits the bone. He murmurs, wiping his brow with a less bloody forearm. Woundwort drives out corruption, God willing, and the humors balance. He instructs one asterisk converses asterisk to move her to a clean, isolated pen. An early grasp of quarantine. Check her hourly. If the fever breaks by dawn, she might live. It's a grim calculus. The brutal intervention buys a chance, nothing more. The ewe's fate rests on her own constitution and the whims of medieval microbes. Later, in the relative calm of the infirmary's herb drying room, Brother Infirmarian shows you his tools and his treasured manuscript, not a psalter, but a practical asterisk leech book for beasts asterisk. Its vellum pages stained with fingerprints, wax, and what looks suspiciously like blood. He points to crude illustrations, diagrams of sheep anatomy surprisingly accurate for the guts, wildly speculative for the brain, drawings of herbs, and instructions for procedures. Asterisk asterisk quirky tidbit connection. Asterisk asterisk remember the vellum preparation? That same painstakingly scraped sheepskin documented the brutal realities of keeping sheep alive. The ink binding the instructions might well contain animal glue, rendered from the hides of previous patients who didn't survive. The circle of life, death, and record keeping was unflinching. He flips to a page showing a sheep skeleton. See? The hip bone. Easy to dislocate in a fall. Hard to fix, he sighs. Lost a fine ram last year that way. Good fleece, too. His tone holds professional regret mixed with economic calculation. Prevention was always better than cure. You learn about the meticulous care taken with pasture rotation to avoid liver fluke, a deadly parasite thriving in wet ground, the strategic placement of sheep folds away from marshy areas, and the importance of clean water. A poisoned spring kills faster than any wolf. Brother Infirmarian states, herds were constantly observed for signs of scab treated with sulfurous dips, foot rot requiring laborious hoof trimming and tar applications, or the dreaded sheep pox. Asterisk asterisk quirky tidbit. Asterisk asterisk monks employed ovini, canaries in the coal mine. They'd often keep a few older, less valuable sheep with the main flock. If these tasters fell sick or died after grazing a new pasture or drinking from a suspect stream, it served as a warning to move the valuable breeding stock and prime wool producers immediately. A sacrificial senility. As evening falls, you check on the cauterized ewe. She lies listlessly in her clean straw, but her breathing is less labored. The dreadful shock has receded, replaced by a dull-eyed exhaustion. You offer her a handful of fresh clover. She nibbles weakly. It's a small victory, fragile and hard one. The infirmarian nods approvingly. The fire drove out the corruption. Now, nature and God's grace must do the rest. The tools of his trade, the cruel iron, the sharp knives, the pungent herbs, lie cleaned but ready. The serenity of Vespers chants drifting from the church feels distant, abstract. Here, amidst the straw and the lingering smell of seared flesh and comfrey, faith manifests as bloody, pragmatic intervention. The monks didn't just asterisk love asterisk their sheep in some abstract, pastoral way. They fought for them, tooth and nail, iron and herb, ledger entry and cautery rod. The sheep weren't just livestock. They were patients in a perpetual, high-stakes ward where the price of failure wasn't just economic loss, but a fracture in the intricate, bleeding machine that sustained the entire holy enterprise. Salvation, it seems, sometimes smells of comfrey, vinegar, and very, very burnt sheep. You stroke the ewe's head gently, feeling the warmth beneath the wool, willing life to hold against the long, medieval night. The lingering scent of comfrey and seared flesh fades, replaced by the sweeter, dry aromas of incense and aged parchment. You limp into the cool, echoing space of the abbey church, muscles aching from wrestling the wounded you. The harsh realities of hoof rot and cautery rods feel worlds away, as the Vespers chant rises towards the vaulted ceiling, a river of sound washing over rows of bowed, hooded figures. Sunlight streams through stained glass, casting pools of jeweled light on the stone floor, blues, reds, golds. Your eyes adjust, and amidst the saints and biblical scenes depicted in the glowing windows, you see them, sheep, innocent lambs cradled by stern patriarchs, a sturdy ram caught in a thicket, and above the high altar, dominating the chancel arch, Christ himself, carved in oak, not as the suffering crucifix, but as the Good Shepherd He stands serene, a lamb draped gently across his shoulders, his crook held like a scepter. The symbolism is unmistakable, comforting, and jarring. After mucking pans, scraping hides, and smelling cauterized wounds, this idealized pastoral vision feels like a beautiful, distant dream. Mainstream historical fact. The imagery of Christ as the Good Shepherd, drawing from John 10:11-18 and Psalms 23, was one of the most pervasive and enduring symbols in medieval Christian art and theology, especially resonant within monastic communities whose daily lives literally revolved around sheep. This motif provided a powerful framework for understanding monastic leadership habits as shepherds, community the flock, and spiritual vulnerability straying sheep. The physical reality of sheep keeping deeply informed their understanding of divine care and their own pastoral responsibilities. You find your place in the choir stalls, the hardwood a familiar discomfort. The chant continues, Dominus regit me, et nihil me dirit, in loco pascuae ibi me collicavit. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. The Latin words, so often abstract, ignite vivid sensory memories. The feel of dew-wet grass under your sandals at dawn pasture. The smell of fresh hay in the winter barn. The sound of contented chewing. The metaphor isn't just poetic, it's drawn directly from the rhythm of your days. When the chant speaks of the shepherd leading his flock beside still waters, you recall the careful sighting of sheepfolds near clean streams, away from stagnant marshes prone to liver fluke. The rod and staff that comfort? You've wielded the literal crook to guide, rescue from ditches, and occasionally thwack a stubborn ram. Quirky tidbit. Monks didn't just sing about the Good Shepherd. They sometimes enacted it. Records exist from several monasteries, particularly around Easter, describing liturgical dramas, where a monk dressed as the Good Shepherd would literally lead a small trained flock of real sheep, often lambs, in a procession around the church or cloister, much to the potential chaos and delight or horror of the congregation. Imagine a wayward lamb deciding the high altar's embroidered frontal looked delicious mid-procession. One chronicler from Revaux dryly noted the Easter vigil of 1247 was somewhat prolonged by the retrieval of Agnes from the prior's vegetable patch. The abbot ascends the pulpit for the homily. His theme, inevitably, is the parable of the lost sheep, Luke 15:3-7. He speaks of the shepherd leaving the 99 to seek the one that strayed. His voice is warm, persuasive. You think of Brother Martin and the lay brothers spending freezing nights on the hills, searching for a pregnant ewe who wandered off, not out of boundless love, but because losing one pregnant ewe meant losing to future fleeces and potentially a valuable breeding line. The abbot speaks of the shepherd's joy upon finding the lost sheep. You recall the palpable relief, the economic tension easing, not celestial choirs. The spiritual lesson is layered atop a bedrock of practical necessity. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the constant use of sheep metaphors in monastic sermons and art genuinely reflected a deep experiential spirituality born of daily labor, or if it was primarily a convenient, accessible rhetorical tool used by educated clerics who might rarely muck a pen to explain complex theological concepts to their brethren who did the mucking. Did the shepherd monk feel the divine connection while up to his knees in mud searching for a lamb? Or was it just another Tuesday chore? The gap between the soaring metaphor and the gritty reality is palpable. The sermon shifts. The abbot's gaze sweeps over the choir. And what of the wolves, brothers? He asks, his voice dropping, resonant with warning. Rapacious wolves who seek to scatter the flock, who covet our pastures, our fleece, our very walls. The image is vivid, menacing. You don't think of actual wolves though they were a threat. You think of Lord Debray's menacing bailiff, of the king's tax collectors demanding more wool levies, of rival abbots eyeing prime grazing land. The wolf is any threat to the monastery's fragile, sheep-dependent autonomy. The abbot's crook, resting against the pulpit, looks less like a pastoral prop and more like a potential weapon. We must be vigilant shepherds, he thunders. Guard the fold, defend the flock. The spiritual call to protect souls merges seamlessly with the very practical, often ruthless, defense of monastic assets. The shepherd as spiritual warrior, armed with charters, lawyers, and sometimes hired retainers. *** quirky tidbit connection. *** remember the pasture boundary dispute? Monks saw legal victories through a theological lens. A successfully defended pasture wasn't just an economic win. It was framed as divine favor, proof that God protected his faithful shepherds and their flock, both human and ovini. Chroniclers described recovered land as redeemed from the jaws of the wolf, the secular lord. By the staff of righteousness, the abbot's legal team, spiritualizing realpolitik. Later, in the cloister walk, you pause before a fresco being painstakingly restored by an elderly monk. It shows Saint Benedict himself, not writing his rule, but standing in a green field, hand resting gently on the head of a large, docile-looking ram. A shepherd's crook leans against his leg. It's an idealized, serene image. Brother Eadmer, the scriptorium master, shuffles past, squinting at the fresco. HMPH, looks nothing like the beasts we wrestle. He mutters, rubbing a shoulder likely sore from years of scraping hides. Try telling that ram. He nods towards the fresco, about shearing time. See how serene he stays. He offers a rare, wry smile. The disconnect between artistic ideal and daily reality is a quiet joke, shared in the shadows of the arcade. The most profound sheep theology, however, permeates the Eucharist. During the Mass, as the consecrated bread is elevated, the priest intones, *ex Agnus Dei, qui tollit peccata mundi, behold the Lamb of God, who takes away the sins of the world. The theological weight is immense. Christ as the ultimate sacrificial lamb, standing there, after helping slaughter culled ewes for the winter meat supply, after smelling the blood in the slaughter shed. The metaphor acquires a terrifying, visceral gravity. The innocence of the lamb led to slaughter, its lifeblood spilled. It's not just a symbol, it's a practice you enact seasonally for survival. The sacred lamb's sacrifice, promising eternal life, echoes the countless necessary, uncelebrated deaths in the abbey's own fields. The blood on the altar and the blood on the slaughterhouse floor feel disturbingly connected. *** quirky tidbit. *** some particularly devout or morbid monks reportedly kept a lamb specifically designated as the Easter lamb throughout the year, treating it with special care and reverence before its inevitable, symbolic slaughter for the Paschal feast. It was a living, bleeding memento mori and a potent, disturbing link between the pastoral idol and the sacrificial reality underlying their faith. Their economy. As compline the final night office ends, you step out into the cloister garth. The moon silences the worn stones. Distant, rhythmic bleating drifts from the night folds, the real flock. Restless in the dark, you look back at the church, its silhouette etched against the starry sky. The image of the Good Shepherd above the altar glows faintly in your mind. The theology is beautiful, offering comfort and purpose. But the reality, the manure, the shearing, the ledgers, the cautery, the boiled mutton, the bloody sacrifices, is the gritty loom on which that beautiful tapestry is woven. The monks didn't just love the idea of sheep. Their entire existence, spiritual and physical, was entangled with the woolly, stubborn, vulnerable, essential creatures whose lives and deaths sustain them. The Lamb of God might promise salvation, but it was the grubby, resilient, everyday sheep of the abbey's hillsides that made the pursuit of that salvation materially possible. Their bleating wasn't just background noise, it was the persistent, earthy counterpoint to every chant, the living foundation beneath every soaring arch of faith. The path to God, you realize, winds through green pastures and muddy pens, under the watchful eyes of both the carved Christ and the wary, dung-smeared shepherd monk, staff in hand, scanning the dark horizon not just for wolves, but for the next threat to the bleeding, breathing heart of his world. The echoes of the compline chant fade, replaced by the rhythmic, Almost frantic asterisk scratch dash scratch dash scratch asterisk of a quill nib biting into vellum. You shuffle into the scriptorium's frigid gloom. Colder than the church, colder than the cloister walk. Dawn is still hours away. The only light is single, sputtering tallow candle casting long, dancing shadows. Brother Cuthbert, the chronicler, hunches over his writing slope, shoulders tense, breath fogging in the icy air. He doesn't look up as you approach. Sit, grind more ink, and pray for warmth, or a miracle, whichever comes first. He gestures vaguely towards a mortar and pestle and lumps of hard oak gall. The air smells of dust, cold stone, and the sharp tang of iron gall ink. This isn't illuminating psalms. This is drafting the Abbey's official complaint department. The Chronicle of a Viennese Catastrophe. Asterisk asterisk mainstream historical fact. Asterisk asterisk monasteries maintained detailed chronicles recording not just major historical events and royal visits, but the asterisk minutiae asterisk of daily life, including disasters affecting their economic lifeblood, the flocks. These chronicles provide invaluable, often unintentionally vivid, glimpses into the constant threats faced by medieval sheep: weather, disease, predation, theft, and plain bad luck. The chronicler's quill was the Abbey's insurance adjuster, documenting losses for posterity and sometimes future legal claims. You start grinding the oak galls with the pestle, the rhythmic asterisk crunch crunch asterisk joining the scribe's scratching. The ink will be a deep, indelible black, perfect for recording grim realities. Brother Cuthbert mutters curses under his breath, not pious invocations, but frustrated, earthy expletives involving rams and improbable anatomical feats. He's transcribing a report from the Grange Master of Swainshill. You catch phrases, asterisk, tempestis horrenda, asterisk horrendous storm, asterisk, grandines magnae sicut ova anserum, asterisk hailstones large as goose eggs, asterisk, oves dispersae, multa contusa, 12 mortuae, asterisk sheep scattered, many bruised, 12 dead. The economic loss is calculated coldly, asterisk, damnum estimatum viginti solidis, asterisk damage estimated 20 shillings. The Grange Master's terror, the sheep's panic under the ice storm. None of that makes the formal record, just the numbers and the weather's divine or demonic label. Asterisk asterisk quirky tidbit. Asterisk asterisk monks chronicling sheep disasters often displayed a darkly comic resignation. Marginal doodles sometimes appear beside these entries. A frowning sheep with X's for eyes, a tiny monk shaking his fist at a cloud raining rocks, or even a crude drawing of a wolf wearing a jaunty hat labeled tax collector. One famous entry from Gervolks Abbey after a flood drowned 30 ewes reads, asterisk Deus misericer, et ovibus natari docerit, asterisk God have mercy, and teach the sheep to swim. Gallows humor on sheepskin. Brother Cuthbert pushes the Swainshill report aside with a sigh that could deflate a winneskin. He pulls another, shorter note. This one, from Brother Barnabas, the shepherd at a high pasture, is less formal, more visceral. The handwriting is jagged, stressed, asterisk fratri chronic laro advise. Utmost urgency. Agnes lead you, notch left ear, superior fleece acting possessed. Runs in circles, head tilted, falls over, bites the air. Others nervous, not rabies, plague, demons, prayers ineffective. Lost to lambs already, advise, or send the infirmary in, or an exorcist. Asterisk 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 scholarly debate. Asterisk asterisk historians still argue whether these chronicles provide reliable factual accounts or are heavily filtered through spiritual interpretation, economic bias, and the chronicler's own temperament. When Brother Barnabas blames demons for Agnes's neurological symptoms likely listeriosis, or scrappy, is it literal belief, a rhetorical flourish, or a desperate shorthand for the inexplicable? Does the meticulous tally of dead sheep reflect genuine concern for the creatures, or purely the abbot's fury at the lost revenue? The parchment holds the words, but the true motivations remain infuriatingly opaque, like fog on the moors. Brother Cuthbert pinches the bridge of his nose. Demons, always demons with Brother Barnabas. Last month it was demons flattening the barley. Turned out it was pigs. He dips his quill, his own hand steady now as he composes the official chronicle entry. You watch the transformation. Barnabas's panic becomes cool. Detached Latin, asterisk ovis principua, nomen Agnes, morbo insolito correpta, signa cerebri lesi prebens, agni duo perierunt, causa sub investigation, asterisk a primu, named Agnes, seized by an unusual illness, showing signs of brain injury. 2 lambs perished. Cause under investigation. The demons vanish. The urgency softens. The chronicle smooths chaos into manageable, sterile fact. Asterisk asterisk quirky tidbit. Asterisk asterisk some chroniclers developed recognizable stylistic tics for disasters. One might always preface bad news with asterisk ad de gloriam, licet, asterisk to God's glory, although another might add a pious, utterly generic prayer after every loss. Asterisk quis anime propitiatur Deus asterisk on whose soul may God have mercy, applied equally to a prized ram and a sack of moldy oats. Ritual words as a shield against overwhelming ovini entropy. The next report is grimmer. From Brother Martin, your nocturnal fence-post companion. It's brief, brutal, asterisk wolves. Moonbright fell. 5 ewes slain. 3 lambs missing. Tracks lead north. Gave chase. Lost them in Debray's woods. Bastards dogs likely howling with them. Asterisk no request for advice. Just cold fury and accusation. Brother Cuthbert reads it, his lips tightening. He dips his quill, not in the fresh ink you've made, but in a darker, older pot. The ink reserved for weighty matters, or perhaps just thicker for emphasis. His entry is uncharacteristically terse, devoid of spiritual padding. Asterisk lupi savierunt in pasqua di moonbright. Oves quinque oxisse, agniters e blotti. Vestigia ad nemus Debray ducta. Asterisk wolves raged in the pastures of Moonbright. 5 sheep killed, 3 lambs taken. Tracks led to Debray's wood. The implication hangs in the cold air, as sharp as a wolf's tooth. Asterisk asterisk quirky tidbit connection. Asterisk asterisk remember the lanolin smoke candles? Chroniclers sometimes used the frustration of poor materials as metaphors for life's trials. One entry, complaining about a batch of vellum so greasy the ink wouldn't hold, concludes, asterisk, sic vita nostra, labor's pangs, st fructus alabator, asterisk, thus is our life, labors are greasy, but the fruit slips away, sheep troubles permeating even complaints about writing surfaces. As the first gray light bleeds through the high, narrow windows, Brother Cuthbert closes the current chronicle volume with a thump. He stretches, his spine cracking like dry twigs. The candle gutters out, its acrid smoke adding another layer to the room's complex scent. Another day, another disaster, he mutters, wiping ink-stained fingers on a rag already black. Wolves, hail, falling sickness, thieving bailiffs. Sometimes I think Saint Benedict should have prescribed goats. Tougher beasts. Less. Asterisk dramatic asterisk. He offers a grim, tired smile. Still, the record stands. The storms pass, the wolves move on, the ewes drop new lambs, and we write it down. So someone, someday, might know that Agnes the ewe ran in circles, that 5 good sheep fed the wolves of Moonbright, and that we shivered here, recording it all in the dark before lots. Asterisk asterisk quirky tidbit. Asterisk asterisk despite the grim entries, some chroniclers couldn't resist adding hopeful, personal notes. Beside an entry detailing a harsh winter that killed many sheep, one monk scribbled in the margin, asterisk but Brother Paul's new ram, brute, survived, bigger than a donkey. Next shearing will be glorious, Dio Valente, asterisk God willing. A tiny flame of Ovini optimism in the bureaucratic gloom. You look at the closed chronicle. It's just leather and vellum, ink and wax. But within its pages lie the drowned, the wolf-torn, the diseased, the hail-bruised, the countless individual tragedies woven into the vast tapestry of monastic survival. The chronicle doesn't weep for Agnes's confusion or the slaughtered ewes on Moonbright fell. It tallies, it notes, it implies blame. It seeks divine favor for future flocks. It is the Abbey's institutional memory, written in ink that might contain the rendered glue of last year's losses. The sheep live, suffer, die, and are reborn in the flock. Their stories, stripped of terror and pain, live on in the cold, precise Latin of a shivering monk's quill. The path of history, it seems, is paved with the meticulously recorded misfortunes of sheep, written by candlelight in a room that smells of dust, ink, and the lingering, greasy ghost of tallow smoke. Brother Cuthbert stands, groaning, right? Laud's bell soon. Time to pray for better sheep news tomorrow, or at least warmer fingers. He blows on his hands, the sound echoing in the silent scriptorium, a small, human counterpoint to the grand, bleeding, dung-spattered reality documented in the book before him. The chill of the scriptorium and the scent of oak gall ink vanish, replaced by the overwhelming, briny assault of salt air, tar, and 1,000 unwashed bodies. You stand on the crowded quayside at Boston, Lincolnshire, England's wool capital for a brief, feverish season each year. The river Witham churns with activity. Broad-beamed asterisk cogs asterisk, sturdy merchant ships with high castles fore and aft jostle for space, their hulls riding low in the water. What weighs them down isn't stone or timber, but tightly packed sarplers stamped with familiar monastic seals. Revolx's crowned lamb, Fountain's fountain, your own abbey's cross. The air vibrates with shouted orders in a dozen dialects: Flemish, French, Italian, English. The clatter of cranes hoisting bales, the groan of ropes, and the ever-present shriek of hungry gulls. This isn't pastoral piety. This is the roaring, stinking, gold rush heart of medieval globalization, and its currency is fleece. Mainstream historical fact. From the 12th to the 14th centuries, England, particularly through powerful monastic producers like the Cistercians, dominated the European wool export market. The finest English wool was the indispensable raw material, fueling the luxury cloth industries of Flanders, modern-day Belgium, and Florence. Annual wool fairs, like Boston Street, Botolph's Fair, or Winchester St. Giles Fair, became international economic powerhouses where fortunes were made, treaties negotiated, and the fate of kingdoms subtly influenced by the price of a sack of prime fleece. Monastic wool was the oil of the medieval world. You're here with Brother Simeon, the bursar, and Brother Martin, looking less like a spiritual shepherd and more like a wary bodyguard, hand resting near his belt knife. Simeon scans the chaos with the sharp eyes of a falcon. See that cog? The Santa Maria of Genoa. He points to a sleek vessel flying the red and white cross of St. George, her master, Giovanni Doria, buys half our clip, pays in Florentine florins, solid gold, brother, better than promises. He negotiates not in the quiet of his office, but here, amidst the din, using rapid-fire Latin mixed with merchant Italian. You witness the culmination of your Grange labors. The sarplers you saw packed, their weight and value abstract on parchment, now become tangible, international commodities. A Flemish factor, his clothes fine but travel-stained, runs a practiced hand over a bale bearing your abbey's seal. Feeling the density, the spring of the compressed wool, he nods sharply to Simeon, muttering numbers. The deal is sealed with a handshake and a small lead token exchanged. Quirky tidbit. The wool trade birthed bizarre financial instruments. Because transporting vast sums of coin was dangerous, merchants and monasteries used complex systems of credit notes, bills of exchange drawn on Italian banking houses. Monks became adept at navigating this early international finance. Some abbey bursars even developed reputations as shrewd currency speculators, timing their wool sales to coincide with favorable exchange rates between Flemish groats, Florentine florins, and English sterling. Imagine Brother Simeon debating the florin-sterling spread like a Wall Street trader. The Santa Maria crew begins loading your abbey's sarplers. As they swing one onto the deck, the sacking tears on a splintered rail. A cascade of creamy, tightly packed fleeces spills out onto the dirty planks. The Flemish factor gasps, then beams. Ah! Prima lana Anglicana. He plunges his hands into the mass, holding up a fleece. It's long stapled, fine, lustrous, the legendary quality that made English wool worth its weight in silver. This, he declares, shouting over the din to be heard by potential onlookers, is worth the voyage alone. The weavers of Ghent will weep for joy. It's free advertising. Brother Simeon allows a rare, tight smile. The quality speaks for itself. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the massive monastic wool export boom primarily benefited the English economy by bringing in vast wealth, or if it ultimately created a dangerous dependency, stifling the development of England's own cloth industry by feeding raw materials to more sophisticated continental manufacturers. Were the monasteries engines of national prosperity or unwitting agents of economic colonialism, enriching Flanders and Italy while leaving England reliant on exporting its golden fleece? The answer depends on whether you tally abbey building projects or the stunted growth of English weaving towns. Weeks later, the journey of your fleeces ends not in a quiet pasture, but in the deafening, humid hell of a Flemish drapery cloth workshop in Ghent. If Boston was chaotic, this is infernal. The air is thick with moisture, wool fibers, and a cacophony that vibrates in your teeth. The thunderous thump 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 of wooden fulling hammers powered by water wheels. The rhythmic clack dash shuttle dash thud of dozens of looms. The shouts of overseers. UV accompanied Brother Simeon on a rare visit to inspect the finished product, funded by your fleeces. Mainstream historical fact. Flemish cloth production was a complex, multi-stage process. English wool was first sorted and cleaned again, then carded to align the fibers. Spinners, often women working in their homes, transformed it into yarn. Weavers on massive looms created the basic cloth. Then came fulling, pounding the woven cloth in vats of water mixed with *fuller's earth*, a type of clay, and, notoriously, stale urine, human and animal, to cleanse, thicken, and felt it. Finally, the cloth was stretched on *tenterhooks to dry, then sheared, dyed, and finished. Monasteries often specified the exact type and color of cloth they wanted woven from their own wool for habits or vestments. The smell is the first assault, a choking miasma of lanolin, wet wool, fuller's earth, and the eye-watering ammonia reek of the urine vats. Workers, stripped to the waist and slick with sweat despite the damp chill, feed lengths of wet, grayish cloth into the churning maw of the fulling stocks. Massive wooden hammers, lifted by cams on a water wheel axle, slam down with bone-jarring force onto the cloth submerged in the foul liquid. *thudwhunk, THUDWHUNK. It's like watching cloth being beaten into submission. Quirky tidbit. The fulling process was so noxious and strenuous that fullers were often social outcasts, living in segregated districts. Their occupation became synonymous with drudgery and stench. Flemish proverbs warned, "Marry a fuller, sleep with a cesspit." Monastic visitors, like you, often held pomanders, scented balls, or sprigs of rosemary to their noses when touring the workshops. The contrast between the serene monk and the reeking reality of how his habit was made was starkly ironic. Beyond the pounding hammers, the weavers work in slightly less oppressive but equally intense conditions. Men and women operate giant wooden looms, their feet dancing on treadles, hands flying to throw the shuttle back and forth through the warp threads. The speed is hypnotic. Yards of dense, undyed worsted cloth named after Worsted in England, but woven here emerge. It's still rough, but the quality is evident, tight, even, strong. Brother Simeon runs a critical hand over a newly woven bolt. Good tension, he shouts over the din to the workshop master. No slubs. This will take the dye well. Our fleece, the master nods proudly. Only the best English for the Benedictines. A quirky tidbit connection. Remember the lanolin waterproofing monks tried? Flemish fullers understood lanolin's properties better. They carefully controlled the washing process before fulling to retain just enough natural lanolin in the wool destined for heavy outerwear like monks' cloaks, providing inherent water resistance without the disastrous smoky candles. Practical chemistry born of necessity, not monastic experiment. The real alchemy happens in the dyeing sheds. Here, vats bubble like cauldrons over fierce fires, releasing clouds of steam laden with the pungent scents of madder root red, woad leaves blue, weld yellow, or precious imported substances like kermes scarlet or indigo. Fabrics emerge transformed, vibrant, saturated colors impossible to achieve with cheaper local wools. This is where monastic wool truly shines. Its superior quality absorbed dyes more evenly and brilliantly, creating the coveted scarlet cloth worn by cardinals and kings. Brother Simeon inspects a bolt of deep, rich blue destined for bishops' vestments. Wove over indigo, the dyer explains, costs a fortune. But for cloth this fine, only the best. The wealth generated by your abbey's fleeces is literally woven into the fabric of ecclesiastical and aristocratic power across Europe. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the luxury cloth produced from monastic wool primarily served spiritual purposes, vestments, altar cloths, and elite display, or if it trickled down significantly to stimulate broader Flemish urban prosperity and craftsmanship. Were the magnificent wool churches of East Anglia built with trade profits and the opulent cloth worn by nobles the sole beneficiaries, or did the demand for dyes, mordants, loom parts, and transport also uplift skilled artisans and laborers in Flanders? The evidence gleams in cathedral glass and royal accounts, but is fainter in the records of the dyer's apprentice. Leaving the reeking, roaring drapery for the bustling Ghent market square is like stepping into another world. Stalls overflow with the finished product, bolts of cloth in every imaginable hue and weight, from fine, lightweight worsteds to heavy, felted broadcloths. Merchants from across Europe haggle fiercely. The wealth is palpable, displayed in the merchants' fur-trimmed robes, the ornate guild halls lining the square, the sheer abundance. Brother Simeon purchases a small roll of fine, undyed worsted for the abbey's own tailors. For new scapulars, he says, paid for. He adds with quiet satisfaction, by last year's clip. Our sheep clothe the weaver, who wove the cloth that now clothes us. The circle is vast, spanning seas and shaping cities. Standing on the quay as your own ship prepares to sail back to England, laden now with Flemish cloth barrels of French wine, bought with wool profits and sacks of precious alum, essential for dyeing, you grasp the immense invisible web. The quiet hillsides where your sheep graze are inextricably linked to the clattering looms of Ghent, the dye vats of Bruges, the banking houses of Florence, and the vaulted cathedrals rising across Christendom. The humble, bleeding creatures you tend are the unwitting engines of empires of cloth. Their fleece the golden thread stitching together the medieval world. The path of faith, it seems, winds through muddy pastures, reeking fulling vats, and the roaring exchanges of distant ports, a testament to the quiet, world-shaping power of the monastic sheep. The wind carries the salt tang, the lingering reek of the dye sheds, and the faint, imagined scent of lanolin from home. The bustling clamor of Ghent's docks, the reek of dye vats and urine, the gleam of Flemish gold florins, all dissolve like mist under a brutal, unyielding sun. You return to the abbey not to triumph, but to silence, a silence heavier than the deepest prayer, thick with absence and the sweet-trodden scent of decay that hangs over the land like a shroud. It's 1349. The pestilence has come. The Black Death isn't just killing people. It's unraveling the very fabric of the world you knew, thread by agonized thread. That familiar, comforting bleat from the hills? It sounds louder now, not because there are more sheep, but because there are so very fewer people left to hear it. *** mainstream historical fact. *** The Black Death 1347-1351 devastated Europe, killing an estimated 30 to 60% of the population. Monasteries, with their close communal living, were particularly vulnerable. The resulting catastrophic labor shortage fundamentally reshaped agriculture and society. Fields lay fallow, harvests rotted, and crucially, the vast flocks of sheep central to monastic wealth became impossible to manage with traditional methods. The world built on sheep was collapsing under the weight of human absence. You step into the cloister. The garth, usually buzzing with quiet activity, feels unnervingly still. Half the choir stalls in the church stand empty. Names are scratched onto the mortuary roll daily. Brother Martin, your fence-building companion, lies wrapped in a shroud beneath the cloister walk, awaiting burial. The air itself feels poisonous. Fear is a physical presence, sour on the tongue. The infirmary is overflowing, not with injured sheep, but with dying monks. The sounds are different now, not the chant of psalms, but the rattle of breath, low moans, the hurried Latin of last rites. *** Quirky tidbit. *** In sheer desperation, some monasteries resorted to bizarre plague preventions for their sheep believing the animals vulnerable. Chronicles mention monks hanging bags of pungent herbs, rosemary rue around sheepfold entrances, sprinkling holy water mixed with crushed gemstones over flocks, or even leading processions of the healthiest sheep around the abbey boundaries, hoping their perceived vitality would ward off the miasma. Imagine a ragged line of bewildered ewes circling the abbey walls, led by a wheezing, terrified novice. Your duties become ghastly. Forget shearing or mucking pens. You help dig mass graves beyond the abbey walls. The earth is hard, your arms weak with fatigue and fear. Bodies wrapped hastily in shrouds are lowered. Brothers, *conversi*, lay workers who tended the outer granges. The pit fills too quickly. The smell is beyond description. A cloying horror that seeps into your clothes, your skin, your dreams. A senior monk, his face gray with exhaustion, mutters while shoveling lime, "The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. But blessed be the name of the Lord." His voice cracks on the blessing. Faith feels fragile, like cobweb in a storm. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the massive death toll actually improved the lot of surviving peasants and laborers by giving them unprecedented bargaining power due to scarcity, or if the initial chaos simply led to greater exploitation by panicked landowners trying to maintain profits with fewer hands. Did the plague ultimately break the back of serfdom, or just twist its form? The answer lies buried with the millions in plague pits, their stories untold. The sheep, oblivious to human agony, become a different kind of burden. Pastures go unmowed, fences unrepaired. Wolves, emboldened by the silence and the sudden abundance of unburied corpses outside the abbey, grow bolder. You join a skeleton crew of survivors trying to herd a vastly reduced, but still significant flock. It's impossible. Sheep scatter, wander into woods, get caught in thickets, fall prey to predators. The intricate, generations-old system of pasture rotation, careful breeding, and predator control lies in ruins. The golden fleece means nothing if there's no one to shear, wash, pack, or sell it. The abbot, gaunt and hollow-eyed, stares at the dwindling flock. The sheep survive, he whispers, a chilling observation. God preserves the beasts, but not his shepherds. **** quirky tidbit connection. **** remember the sheep spies? Their role changed. Surviving monks used local boys even more, not to spy on rivals, but simply to find scattered flocks. Payment shifted from bread to promises of land or freedom from service. Desperate offers in a depopulated world. Find the gray ram with the twisted horn, lad, and the field by the stream is yours. A child's game turned into a high-stakes salvage operation. The economic shockwaves are immediate and brutal. The Flemish cloth industry, starved of both English wool and its own decimated workforce, collapses. Prices for the little wool the abbey can produce plummet. Yet, paradoxically, the value of land plummets even faster. With no one to work it, fast tracks become near worthless. Brother Simeon, miraculously alive, but aged a decade in a year, pores over ledgers that make no sense. Debts owed to the abbey are uncollectible. The debtors are dead. Income from wool sales is a trickle. We are rich in land, he mutters, tracing a shaking finger over a map showing abbey holdings, and starving on it. The wealth stored in fleeces and parchment is suddenly illusory. **** mainstream historical fact. **** the labor shortage forced fundamental changes in farming. Labor-intensive cereal farming became less viable. Pastoral farming, particularly sheep rearing, which required fewer hands per acre, became more attractive. Monasteries, desperate for income with their traditional workforce gone, often leased out vast tracts of now worthless arable land for grazing at low rents, or converted it directly to pasture themselves. The countryside began its long shift from fields of grain to fields of grass and sheep. You witnessed the painful, pragmatic adaptations. The abbot makes an unprecedented decision, leasing the entire Moonbright Fell Grange, the site of the wolf attack, the disputed land, to a group of surviving peasant families, not for grain, but for sheep grazing. The rent? A pittance, plus a percentage of the lambs. Better sheep on it earning something than thistles earning nothing. Simeon sighs. It's a surrender of direct control, a tacit admission that the old monastic model of vast, centrally managed granges worked by lay brothers is dead. **** quirky tidbit. **** some monasteries, facing utter ruin, tried truly desperate measures. Chronicles mention abbots selling off fragments of relic collections, a saint's finger bone, a splinter of the true cross, or even precious illuminated manuscripts to Italian merchants, just to buy seed corn or pay a handful of shepherds. Sacred treasure bartered for basic survival and the preservation of the flock. Piety measured in sacks of oats and shepherds' wages. Years later, the immediate horror recedes, leaving scars in a changed world. The abbey bells ring for services again, but the choir is thin. The flocks graze the hills, but the shepherds are different. Hired men, tenants, free laborers who demand wages unheard of before the plague. They whistle while they work, a sound that would have been unthinkable, almost disrespectful, in the days of obedient ***. You watch them, these new men with their own ambitions. They don't see the sheep as walking sacristy funds or vellum potential. They see meat, wool, and a chance to build their own lives on the abbey's leased pastures. ***. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the post-plague rise of wage labor and the leasing of monastic lands represented a genuine modernization of the rural economy or merely a chaotic, desperate scramble by crippled institutions to survive, ultimately weakening monastic control and paving the way for their later dissolution. Was it progress born of catastrophe, or the first cracks in the cloister walls? The connection remains, but it's frayed. The sheep still provide wool, sold now to smaller, struggling English cloth towns rather than mighty Ghent. They still provide meat, tallow, manure, but the seamless integration of Ovini life into every facet of monastic existence, spiritual, economic, physical, is broken. The abbey is smaller, poorer, more focused on simple survival than grand building projects or vast scriptorium output. The sheep are still essential, but they feel more like tenants on the abbey's land, less like the beating heart of its existence. The great, bleeding machine that powered prayer, learning, and ambition now operates at half speed. Its golden age ended not by war or heresy, but by a microscopic killer carried on the backs of rats. The path through the plague is marked not by milestones, but by empty graves and the wary eyes of hired shepherds scanning the hills. Hills still dotted with sheep, quietly grazing on the ruins of a world that once revolved entirely around them. The fragile peace after the plague's shadow, the tentative bleat of recovery, is shattered not by pestilence, but by the cold clang of royal authority. A different kind of silence descends, heavy, watchful, thick with dread. Rumors slither through the cloister like adders. The king's men ride. Henry Tudor, defender of the faith no longer, has turned his covetous eye on the church's wealth. Your abbey's wealth, the wealth grazing on its hills. Mainstream historical fact. Between 1536 and 1541, Henry VIII dissolved England's monasteries through a series of acts of parliament, motivated by a toxic blend of religious reform, personal debt, and naked greed. The dissolution targeted the vast landed estates and movable wealth of monastic houses. Royal commissioners, armed with legal writs and backed by armed retainers, systematically inventoried, seized, and sold off everything, from golden chalices to the very sheep that had sustained centuries of prayer. You feel it first in the bursar's office. Brother Simeon, older, frailer, but still sharp, stares at a parchment bearing the Great Seal. It's not a wool contract, it's a summons. Commissioners of the King's Majesty's Court of Augmentations, he reads aloud, his voice flat, devoid of its old financial fervor, requiring a full and true inventory. Lands, tenements, goods, chattels, debts. His finger trembles on the word *CHATTELS*. The sheep, the walking, bleeding chattels. They come in 3 days. The air crackles with suppressed panic. The meticulous ledger Simeon maintained, proof of the abbey's stewardship, now become the blueprint for its plunder. Quirky tidbit. Some monasteries, forewarned, attempted desperate, last-minute asset stripping. Chronicles mention abbots hastily selling flocks to local gentry at knockdown prices, burying silver altar plate in fields marked by cryptic symbols only trusted brothers understood, or even dispersing precious manuscripts amongst sympathetic parish churches. One resourceful seller reportedly drove the abbey's entire herd of prize dairy cows deep into a trackless forest marsh, hoping to reclaim them later. They were never found. The commissioners arrive not with piety, but with the brisk efficiency of tax assessors. Sir Richard Southwell, a man whose fine clothes and sharper eyes speak of courtly ambition, leads them. He sets up shop in the chapter house, transforming the sacred space of governance into a counting house for destruction. Monks are summoned one by one, the cellar for grain stores, the sacristan for vestments, the bursar for accounts, the grange masters for livestock tallies. You're tasked with fetching records, feeling like an accomplice in your own house's dismantling. Southwell's clerk scribbles furiously, item, in the home grange, 487 sheep of divers sorts and ages, item, at Moonbright Grange leased to J. Hodge, 210 ewes, 45 wethers, 87 lambs. The sheep, named, nurtured, healed, and counted for God's work for centuries, are reduced to anonymous inventory. Numbers scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the dissolution's economic impact was primarily destructive, shattering local economies dependent on monasteries, dispersing skilled communities, selling land cheaply to cronies, or creatively disruptive, freeing up vast estates for new agricultural practices, injecting land into a hungry market, accelerating the rise of a gentry class. Did it modernize or merely vandalize the rural landscape? The answer bleeds into centuries of enclosure and agricultural change. The physical seizure is a violation. Southwell's men, rough fellows smelling of leather and steel, stride into the cloister precincts. They ignore the church, for now. They head straight for the outer buildings, the wool store. You watch, helpless, as they break the abbey's lead seal on the stacked sarplers. One man plunges a knife into a bale, pulling out a handful of prime fleece. Good stuff, Sir Richard, he calls, rubbing it between grubby fingers. Finest Lincolnshire long wool. Fetch a pretty penny in Calais. The sacred seal, guaranteeing quality for generations of Flemish weavers, is discarded on the dirty floor. Quirky tidbit connection. Remember the abbey's unique wool seal? Commissioners collected them like trophies. Some were melted down for lead shot. Others ended up in private collections as curiosities of a vanquished world. One survives today in a museum, stamped with a lamb and cross, a mute testament to a system obliterated by royal decree. The symbol of monastic pride becomes a relic of dissolution. Next, the pastures. You ride out with Southwell and his men to verify the Grange tallies. It's late spring. The lambs are sturdy, the ewes heavy with next year's promise. Southwell surveys the scene, not with a shepherd's eye, but with a merchant's appraisal. Fine condition, he remarks to his clerk. Note that, adds value. He ignores Brother Martin's successor, a hired man named Wadling, who stands scowling, his crook held tight. What of us, master? Wadling dares to ask. The lease. Our homes. Southwell waves a dismissive hand. The king's officers will settle all tenancies. In due course, the uncertainty is a new terror for those who work the abbey's land. *** mainstream historical fact. *** The seized monastic estates and assets were managed and sold off by the Court of Augmentations. While some land was granted to loyal nobles or sold cheaply to court favorites, much was auctioned to the highest bidder, often local gentry or wealthy merchants eager to become landed gentry. The flocks were usually sold en masse to large-scale graziers, accelerating the trend towards extensive sheep farming on newly enclosed lands. The final blow falls quietly. The abbot is summoned to the chapter house. You linger outside the heavy oak door, ear pressed to the grain. Southwell's voice is calm, implacable. Surrender freely into the king's hands, for the good of your souls and the commonwealth. Resistance is treason. The abbot's voice, when it comes, is a whisper you strain to hear. *volo, non-volo, I will not. The struggle is brief, internal. Silence. Then, the scratch of a quill. The deed is done. The abbey, its lands, its prayers, its sheep are no longer gods. They are the king's chattels. Quirky tidbit. Some abbots secured surprisingly generous pensions, a cynical payoff for compliance. Others faced trumped-up charges of immorality or treason if they resisted. The last abbot of Glastonbury, defiant to the end, was dragged to Tor Hill and hanged, drawn, and quartered. Most, like yours, signed with trembling hands, exchanging centuries of spiritual authority for a modest annuity, and a quiet retirement in a former monastic manor, surrounded by ghosts and the bleating of sheep they no longer owned. The exodus begins immediately. Monks are offered small pensions or urged to become secular priests. The conversi and lay workers are cast adrift. The great gates stand open, no longer a threshold between sacred and profane, but an entrance for carters and drovers hired by the new owners. You watch the final inventorying of the church, the stripping of altars, the packing of vestments woven from the abbey's own wool. A commissioner carelessly drops a silver pyx. It clatters on the stone floor, a sound like breaking bones. Quirky tidbit. The dispersal of monastic libraries was catastrophic. Precious manuscripts, painstakingly copied on vellum from abbey flocks, were sold as waste parchment, used to wrap fish, stiffen book bindings, or line pie dishes. One surviving leaf of a 12th century psalter, found lining a Tudor stewpot, bears faint gravy stains obscuring a hymn to the Good Shepherd. Sacred text becomes kitchen scrap. The sheep are the last to go. You stand on the hillside overlooking Moonbright Fell. Below, hired drovers, strangers with sharp whistles and tougher dogs, begin the long task of gathering the vast flocks. It's chaos. Sheep unused to these rough hands panic, scattering. Lambs are separated from frantic ewes. The air fills with confused, distressed bleating. The bark of dogs, the curses of men. A vast, milling river of wool begins to flow down the valley towards the lowlands. Not towards Flanders, but towards the new estates of Sir John Pakington, a minor courtier who bid highest for this particular lot. Centuries of careful breeding, pasture management, and monastic devotion vanish over the horizon in a cloud of dust and despair. You turn away. The cloister is empty now, echoing with the ghosts of chants and the scrape of quills. The sheep pen stands silent, already smelling only of dust and disuse. The pungent tang of lanolin and manure fading fast. The intricate, demanding, often harsh, but utterly integrated world of monks and sheep. A world that built churches, funded learning, lit the dark, fed the poor, and wrote its prayers on the skins of its own flock, is over. Dissolved. The path didn't end with a bang or a plague, but with the cold scratch of a bureaucrat's quill, and the bewildered bleat of sheep being driven to a new unknown master on land that was once holy. The silence left behind isn't peaceful. It's the silence of a severed artery, the quiet after the last heartbeat of a world that loved its sheep, not wisely, perhaps, but far too well for its own survival in the harsh dawn of a Tudor age. The heavy oak gates of the Abbey creak shut behind you for the last time, not with the resonant thud of vespers, but with the hollow, final sound of abandonment. The dust stirred by the departing sheep drifts settles slowly over the empty courtyard. You stand not as a monk, but as a pensioner, clutching a small purse containing your annuity, a pittance measured against centuries of accumulated prayer, toil, and wool. The silence isn't the profound quiet of contemplation. It's the vacuum left after the heart stops beating. The familiar scents are fading. The sharp ammonia of the midden heap, the greasy warmth of the candle-making workshop, the dry parchment-tanned smell of the scriptorium, even the pungent, life-sustaining reek of the sheep pens themselves. They're being replaced by damp stone dust, and the melancholy scent of weeds already pushing through the cloister garth's immaculate gravel. The great bleeding engine that powered this world has been dismantled, its parts scattered to the winds. Mainstream historical fact. The dissolution accelerated the process of enclosure. The fencing or hedging of open fields and common lands, often for sheep pasture. Land bought by the new gentry class from the crown was frequently enclosed immediately, maximizing profits from wool but dispossessing remaining peasant farmers, who relied on common grazing rights. The landscape literally reshaped itself, vast open fields vanishing behind hawthorn hedges, echoing the vanished monastic granges. You walk one last time towards the hills, not to tend, but to witness the absence. The pastures of moonbright fell still ripple green under the sky, but the stone-walled folds stand empty, gates hanging open. The intricate mosaic of grazing patterns, spring meadows, summer uplands, sheltered winter lays, is dissolving. Sir John Pakington's new flocks are larger, less diverse, managed for bulk wool, not the specific grades prized by Flemish weavers. You see fewer of the sturdy, long-wooled Lincolnshires your abbey nurtured. Instead, hardier, coarser-wooled breeds dominate, better suited to surviving with fewer hands. The land feels less *tended*, more merely *occupied*. Quirky tidbit. The dissolution scattered monastic knowledge into the wider world. Former lay brothers, finding themselves landless, became itinerant shepherds or hedge doctors, selling their expertise in sheep ailments, pasture management, or even basic veterinary care learned in the abbey's shadow. Their remedies, comfrey poultices, careful rotation, lime-wash dips for scab, became part of folk farming lore. The monk's practical piety repurposed for the tenant farmer's survival. Imagine a gruff old man in a patched cloak, muttering over a sick ewe. Learned this from the white monks. I did. Bit of woundward. See. You pause where the abbey's high pasture met the forest edge. The careful balance is gone. Brambles encroach where sheep once kept the undergrowth nibbled low. Without the constant monastic pressure, the wilderness begins a slow, patient reclamation. The tracks used by generations of shepherd monks are fading under bracken and new growth. Scholarly debate. Historians still argue whether the dissolution destroyed a vital repository of sophisticated agricultural knowledge and sustainable land management pioneered by the monasteries, or if it simply dispersed that knowledge into a broader, potentially more dynamic secular farming community. Were the monks the last guardians of a lost agrarian wisdom, or were their methods already becoming obsolete, swept aside by the very economic forces their own wool wealth helped unleash? The answer lies tangled in the roots of the encroaching forest, silent and deep. The physical legacy endures, stubbornly. You see it in the villages, stones from the abbey walls reused in cottages and barns. A finely carved capital from the chapter house becomes a mounting block outside a yeoman's farmhouse. A worn monastic millstone grinds corn for Sir John's tenants. The magnificent abbey church itself, stripped of altars and statues, might survive as a parish church, its soaring arches now sheltering the very peasants whose common rights the monks once enclosed. The sacred space, built with fleece wealth, is repurposed, its echoes filled with mundane chatter, not Gregorian chant. The sheep paid for its stones, and now the sheep graze on lands it no longer owns. Quirky tidbit connection. Remember the vellum? Some did end up wrapping fish or stiffening book bindings, but fragments survived more nobly. Pages from discarded choir books, illuminated initials still vibrant, were sometimes pasted onto the walls of yeomen's houses as rare, beautiful decorations, sacred art becoming secular ornament. A depiction of the Lamb of God might gaze serenely down upon the farmer a trencher of mutton stew. As twilight deepens, painting the hills in purple and gold, you find yourself near the old night-fold site. A faint, familiar scent catches the breeze. Lanolin, manure. A small group of Pakington sheep, stragglers, huddle near the tumble-down stone wall. They graze placidly, unaware of the seismic shift that changed their ownership, their purpose, their world. The sight is both achingly familiar and profoundly alien. The monks are gone. The prayers are silenced. The intricate web of meaning spun around these creatures, spiritual metaphor, economic engine, daily companion, is undone. Yet the sheep remain. They crop the grass. They bleat softly to their lambs. They endure. Their simple, essential existence continues, indifferent to abbots or kings, dissolution or devotion. They are still here, solid, woolly, vulnerable, necessary. The wind sighs through the long grass, carrying the distant bleat. It's the same sound that echoed through the cloister garth at dawn, that drifted over the hills during *sext*, that provided the rhythm against which centuries of psalms were chanted. It's the sound of life persisting. The monks loved their sheep, shaped them, were sustained by them, and ultimately, were destroyed by the forces that coveted what the sheep provided. But the sheep themselves, they outlasted it all. They are the quiet, resilient, unbroken thread connecting the vanished world of the medieval monastery to the fields outside your own window, centuries later. Their humble gift, wool, meat, tallow, parchment, manure, was the foundation and the fabric of a forgotten age. And as the last light fades, their soft, contented chewing is the only vespers left on the abandoned hillside. The great work is over, dissolved like mist. Only the sheep remain, grazing steadily on, beneath the indifferent, star-strewn sky. The final bleat fades into the rustle of wind through long grass, a sound as old as these hills. The frantic energy of the shearing shed, the sharp tang of the candle-making workshop, the rhythmic scratch of the chronicler's quill, all dissolved like incense smoke in a vast, empty church. What lingers isn't the grand ambition or the bitter politics, but the quiet persistence of the sheep themselves. Think of them now, out there in the soft darkness beyond your window, creatures of profound simplicity. They ask for little: clean water, shelter from the worst storms, grass beneath their feet. Their needs are elemental, grounding. For centuries, they anchored the soaring prayers and intricate labors of the monks, a constant, woolly counterpoint to the human drama of faith and power. Their fleece built cathedrals and funded wars. Their skins preserved sacred words and mundane accounts. Their very bodies fueled the long watches of the night and the daily toil. They were the quiet engine, the uncomplaining partner, in a world now vanished. And though the monasteries fell, though the Flemish looms fell silent and the royal commissioners moved on, the sheep endured. They adapted. They continued their slow, steady work of turning sunlight and grass into warmth, sustenance, and life. Theirs is a legacy not of stone or parchment, but of resilience written in the landscape itself, in the rolling pasture shaped by their grazing, in the wool that still clothes us, in the deep quiet rhythm of their existence that hums beneath the noise of our modern world. So let the weight of history settle, like dust motes in a sunbeam. Let the complexities of faith and finance dissolve into the welcoming dark. Focus instead on that deep, slow breath you take, the gentle rise and fall of your chest, the soft sounds of the night settling around you. Imagine the hills, peaceful under the moon, dotted with quiet shapes, grazing steadily on. They endured the rise and fall of empires, the fervor of prayers and the coldness of greed. They are still their solid present, a testament to the enduring, unremarkable miracle of life simply continuing. Let their quiet constancy soothe you now, a lullaby woven from centuries of grass and twilight and the soft, steady sound of contented chewing. Drift now, carried on that deep, ancient peace, down into the welcoming arms of sleep.